All right, Stay Wokers. Tonight we are live and direct. We are on early, a few minutes early, because y'all know what tonight is. The last night of the 2020 raffle. We have been so generous with this raffle. Tonight will mark $2,000 that we gave away. How do y'all feel about that?
It was actually a blessing to be able to hold this fundraiser for our jurisdiction for Order of the Eastern Star PHA. Um, and I hope all of our winners were excited to win. Thank you so much for supporting us. I want to thank my committee for going hard,
In the
getting
plate?
them. Yep, it was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Charmaine, you have anything before we pull this last lucky winner?
It was long. It was long but fun. It was a good fundraiser.
It was. It was long, and it was definitely fun. And of course, in the beginning the energy was really, really high and stuff like that, but we still almost made our goal. We did a great job. One of the things
Good.
that I like the most about it is that I was able to get to know you, Charmaine. You have been an
Mhm.
Eastern Star for a minute, but just us working together. I was telling Chanel the other day. I said, "Yeah, I like her." I said she a
Well,
hustler.
thank you.
She came in. She worked hard. She came in. She worked hard. So that is one of the things when you have different people on fundraisers. So tonight, Charmaine, we're going to tell you.
Here we go.
We're going to
Pull
ask you
my
to
ticket.
say
Pull
stop.
my ticket.
Pull my ticket. Pull my ticket. You say stop, Charmaine. That's what I'm gonna pull.
Stop, stop, stop. That's it.
All right, that's it. All right, dang, I got like 5 tickets. Okay. Uh, uh, oh, Mary Barnes. Look, 4 tickets fell out, but this is the one that Mary Barnes, my
Okay.
sister in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm about to call her.
Okay.
We about to call Mary live. We gonna
Congratulations.
call Mary Barnes live, aka May May. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe she won the last tickets. Let me see, May May. All right, I'm
And
about
what
to
was
call
fun, we
her.
were able to reach so many different states with this.
I know, and let them know, and that means that they know about our efforts, to raising money, and we are a nonprofit benevolent organization. So, uh, hello, may I speak to Mary Barnes? You have her. Okay, this is the co-host of Stay Woke, Chantella Wallace. Are you familiar with the show? I'm very familiar with the show. Okay, so I was just calling to let you know I have the chairperson, Chanel Nave, and Charmaine on. That is part of our committee. We had one ticket to pull, one more ticket, one last ticket to pull for $100. And guess who name we pulled? St. Louis in the house. We got St. Louis
I
in the
love it.
house, baby. We got St. Louis and the cows. You have several ways to get paid. We can send Cash App, Zelle, PayPal. How would you like to get paid, Mary? Cash App is fine. Okay, I have your Cash App information already. I will send you because you sent your money by Cash App.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sis. Thank you. All right then. She said, "Thank y'all." All
Very
Thank
right.
nice.
you. And
Yep.
before we disconnect, I just want to introduce my committee. Um, my co-chair, past Grand Worthy Matron Chantella Wallace. Thank you so much for allowing us to use your platform and to shed um, the knowledge of Order of the Eastern Star and to get us out in our community. We have a committee member, Sister Charmaine Morton. Thank you so much.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Sister Serena Russell, she wasn't able to join. She's under the weather. And then Worthy Matron Regina Addison. Thank you, ladies, so much for making this a successful fundraiser.
Well, thank you for inviting me to be on the committee. You know, I love raising funds, especially for good causes. So, again, I just want to thank the both of you. I had a great time working with you guys. And congratulations to Mary Barnes from St. Louis, Missouri. All
Congratulations.
right.
Congratulations,
I'll let
Mary.
y'all later because we got the candidates. I need y'all to tune in. We got the candidates in here for District 2. I need y'all to tune in to stay woke. Get on Facebook or YouTube. Tune in, ladies.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Goodbye. All right. Good evening, Queen. Miss Weston, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
How you doing, Miss Goodwin?
Trying to stay warm. How about you?
Hey, trying to stay with lights. We got our power back about
That part too.
3:45. I was just headed to the hotel. My mom was like, "Well, it's bad out there." I said, "Either you can freeze like a popsicle." I said, "Or you can go to the hotel with me. We got 4-wheel drive. Come on, Mama." The shit. Mama stayed asleep and was like, "Yeah, call me when y'all get ready to leave." But the power came on. So thank you, Jesus, for that.
That's right.
So how are you guys doing with the power?
I
Ours is
worked from home
flickering off.
today, so it was definitely, and I had a team working from home too. So a lot of our texts today went like, okay, internet just dropped. Okay, lights just blinked. So we kind of spent the entire day touch and go. But I'm really proud of my team at the North 24th Street Business Improvement District because they hung in there, worked from home, stayed productive, although it was a very testy day. Yeah.
Right. What about you, Miss Weston? You good over there? Got
Oh,
power?
we're good. It flickered on and off, but hey, there's nothing I could do about it. So we just endured, and thank God we're able to, because I was looking forward to being on your show.
I was like, look, I was gonna make it happen, baby. I got a big solar light because we entertain a lot outside. I got a big solar light. I said, if we ain't got light, I will be doing it from my phone, just manipulate. Y'all would have been seeing me moving buttons instead of being behind the scenes. But no, I definitely wanted to get you ladies on. First of all, thank you for being on time. On this show, we do answer questions in real time. We shout out people in real time. At the top of the show, we got Vanessa Warren. Anthony said he's trying to get in. Let me resend him. I thought I resent him another link. Okay, give me a second. I want to thank you, ladies, for coming in, and being on time. And then, and secondly, I just want to, I want to let you ladies know, and I said it at the thing, you guys had a strong presence. You had a strong presence. I thought that you guys knew exactly, you queens knew what you were talking about. You stood on business, policies, and everything on that. Anthony, I just sent you a new link. See if you can get in with that link. But I thought you queens did a great job. And I came home, did a live that night and said that I thought you guys did a great job. And especially in a room full of men. And politics is usually, per se, back in the day, was a man's arena, was a male arena. So I just applaud you women for even stepping into the arena and then fighting like warriors. Y'all just step in there. Y'all was in there and y'all knew what y'all was talking about. Y'all did y'all business. Y'all made y'all presence known.
I appreciate that, Chantello, because I think that oftentimes you're right. Women, when you're confident, when you're strong, that dominance sometimes can come off. People might call it all kinds of things when it's really that you know who you are, and you know what you believe. And I also think it shows passion for this community. There are some uphill battles that we face, especially in this current climate. And so you want somebody who's going to stand up, right? And sometimes fight. And I do use that word, fight. Maybe not fight all the time, but we know that we need someone who's going to be vocal, who's going to be present. And you're right, who knows what they're talking about. And so sometimes that can be misread as a woman. Our energy, when we're strong, when we may even come off a little alpha. It's not always respected. So I really appreciate your supportive words because, not only are we fighting to win this seat for City Council Member District 2, but we're also fighting for the things we believe are necessary for District 2 to go forward. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that encouragement.
It would have been remiss of me not to say anything about that, especially being a woman and a woman of color, just like the two of you. And you also, Anthony, you're a male of color. So we already have obstacles in front of us, hurdles in front of us that people think that we can never jump, that we'll never be able to jump. But the thing is, when a woman stands up and is confident in herself and says what she knows to be true, and if she is passionate, it's always used against Black women. Especially Black women. It's used against women, but especially Black women, because we come off as an angry Black woman. No, I'm passionate about something. But if a male does it, oh man, oh yeah, you hear him? oh shit, he did that. He did that.
He's articulate. Yeah.
So I just want you to know, Ms. Goodwin, I don't know if you know or not, I was going back and forth with people all week on Facebook. Going back and forth all week on Facebook. You didn't have to chime in because I was chiming in for you. I was just like, no, I'm a videographer, so I can take a screenshot and make anybody look mad. I can make anybody look like they was rolling their eyes. And I took that same person video, screenshot it, and put it on their post and said, oh, now look at him. So it looked like the guy was going like this, and all he was doing was moving his hands like that.
Well, and I think this is the thing. Thank you, because you know what? I think we can call people on their record, and I think that's important, that we have leaders with character, that we have leaders who know the issues and are talking respectfully and accurately about those issues. But I do think that, especially talked about us all really being brothers and sisters in our African American heritage, how do we do that respectful of the person, right? Now, if I call you on your record while you're in office, that's not personal.
Exactly.
But if I start talking about Anthony's green shirt and how, you know, it don't match his bandana, or, you know, and I'm teasing Anthony right now.
No, you
got me confused with Justin Wayne. This is a great article right here.
I'm just saying, I take it personal, right? And I start doing some things like that. That's entirely different. But if I disagree, which I actually don't disagree with Anthony on climate change, but if I'm talking about those things and we've got a separate position, that's what the community needs to hear. They need to hear honest, straightforward, factual dialogue so that they can make a decision. And you know, the other thing I said at that AOS debate, which I hats off to the young people who organized that, hats off to the community who came out to hear that. I said, you know what, a more informed community is going to make not only better questions, but they're going to be able to hold community leaders and elected officials accountable when they're better informed about actually what's happening or what's not happening, and the details. And so that's what I'd like to do even after all of this is over. We need to have forums where we talk about what's happening, how we can get involved, how we can make, even when things, listen, I've had it in government where things have not gone the way I wanted them to. Okay. And I've said, you know what, this process was not right. They could have did A, B, and C. They gave us the runaround. But then how do you lean into that and get what you want for a community?
Right.
I'm going to have to, if you don't mind, and I'm respectfully interrupting a little bit, what you say is true, but there's an old saying that elders used to teach us. It is not always what you say. It is how you say it.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that needs to be stressed as well. There is a way to say and be respectful in what we say, and it can be factual. But I think that should be put out there, that's important. And
that is very
attack someone, but it's the mannerism in which it's done. So
okay, I'm gonna have you guys hold on for 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Mike Lee, I don't know if you got two devices on, but the audio became a little bit distorted when you came in. Do you have two devices? Mr. Lee, do you have two devices on? If you have like Facebook on,
no, do not.
Okay.
Let me get on my laptop.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. It doesn't seem to be doing feedback now. Did you guys hear that?
I heard it before. Yes. Okay. Whatever you did.
So it sounds like it's correct. So I do definitely agree with you, Miss Wesson. I'm going to give everybody a moment to introduce themselves. The platform that you guys had was amazing. Miss Wesson, you are correct. Delivery is important because I can say to somebody, good morning, or I can say, good morning, Miss Wesson. I can say, good morning, Miss Wesson. So when I say good morning, Miss Wesson, you're not buying into a good morning for me. If I say good morning, Miss Wesson, I might put a smile on your face. So tone, inflection, delivery, all of that matters. So what I want to do, I want to apply the young people. I love to see young people. I love to see African Americans in politics. We have to be in politics. We have to make ourselves visual. We have to make our voices known. We have to be seen. And so I applaud the young people for getting that together. I was so happy when it was packed, when I was like, oh, I'm parking on the grass. Look. if I had to park on the grass, that means there was no parking spot. So I was like, oh, okay. So Mike Lee, I want to thank you and your team for sending me the notification because I had no idea. I had no idea. So I didn't know that many people were running. I didn't receive anything. Nobody had said anything to me. So I met Mr. Lee at a function, and thank you very much. I said, hey, yeah, I want to get you on the show. And I didn't know this many people was running. So I am glad that you guys have the opportunity to be here. The young people did a great job, but I want to give you guys more time. More time.
Appreciate that.
Debate, and this isn't a debate. I want y'all to tell the people. I'll be asking a couple of questions, but I want y'all to tell the people what you represent and what you stand for. And a debate is something like a competition, even though this is a competition. But I want you guys to be relaxed. I want you guys to take your time, not 50 hours, but take your time and get your thoughts together and know what you really want to say, what you want these people to know and why they should vote for you. So my first question, I'm going to go to you, Anthony. Anthony, why are you running for District 2 and what does this community mean to you? This question will be for everybody. Why are you running for District 2 council person? And what does this community mean for you, to you?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chantella. First of all, I echo a lot of what has been said. I think I'll say for myself, it's, what we have right now in the city, the state, and federally is just broken government and complete mistrust between people, the constituents, and their respective lawmakers. At the city level, you're really supposed to have more access to your city council members than you do maybe even your state senators, and certainly more than your federal representative. I think people in CCD2, as I like to call it, they have more connection with Congressman Don Bacon than they do with our current city council member. And I think that is why you see so many people running at the same time. But for myself, I also think that we have to have an intersectional lens when we're talking about how to make vast improvements that are extremely necessary. And part of making those vast improvements is that we do have to be honest with ourselves. Yes, we were talking earlier about debating and being respectful, but we must not conflate respect with respectability politics. And the bottom line is that we have had a Black misleadership class, as I like to call them, poverty pimps, in our midst for a very, very long time, who have taken the people's money and tried to turn it into money for certain people. We're seeing it with the ARPA funds now, botched, which is why Department of Economic Development had to come in and pretty much take that process over. Botched process with this Inland Port Authority, putting people's lives in jeopardy and confusion. And I think we just need someone who has not been attached to all the factions that we saw on display during the debate, during the Q&A, et cetera, and who's going to bring a fresh approach, who's not just going to be a fresh face, but is also going to bring a fresh approach. What community means to me is that, what I like to say is that if you agree with everybody, it's not a community. It's probably more of a cult. If everybody's the same age, it's not a community. If everybody thinks the same, it's not a community. In fact, if there's not at least one person who annoys the heck out of you, it is not a community. A community is a sense of belonging that makes you want to stay. And that's going to require not comfort politics or deference politics or whatnot, not having this charismatic leader. I joke around and say there is no election for king or queen of the Negroes, and someone who's going to bring that perspective that's independent and not get caught up in sort of like political machines and afraid to buck their own party when their party is doing things like trying to take away minimum wage, when their party is helping Republican people run for office when their two Black candidates run for mayor, and someone who's not going to be afraid to tell the truth, even if somebody looks like me. So I'm also, running to give people an opportunity to see what independent and authentic leadership looks like, that is unbought, unsold, and is really committed to the people and accountable to the people first and foremost. Hence why, as Ms. Lavanya just said, yes, more people's assemblies when it comes to making decisions, more people's assemblies when it comes to community decisions, solidarity economies, and participatory democracy.
Okay, thank you for that. Very, very thought out answer. I've got Miss Weston back in. I think she's back in. Miss Weston, what is going on with Miss Weston? She popped out again. Okay, thank you for that information. Well thought out and well said. I liked a lot in the message there. Brother Lee, Mike Lee, same question. Why are you running for city council person of District 2? And what does this community mean to you?
Sorry. Thank you for having me. As you can see, just like everybody else, right? Like we're all snowed in.
Right.
Uh, so
That's
we've
why I
been
wasn't
trying to
taking
control
no
the
excuse.
sound.
If somebody was saying they wasn't making it, I was like, you snowed in. I already know where you at.
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm like, okay, all right, okay, everybody getting their last little snacks and stuff. The reason that I'm running is because for the last 5 years I've been out in the community talking to voters. As I've been out working in the community talking to them, they often don't feel heard, they don't feel seen, and they want somebody who's gonna fight for them, right? Um, and so for me, making sure for the last 5 years when I'm doing this community organizing work, making sure that the people are constantly having the engagement and their voices heard has been important for me. Now, after working in the legislature and seeing how that works, right, drafting some policy, working and navigating egos, because let's be honest, just because people have a Democratic or a D next to their name, that doesn't make them um, that doesn't mean that me and them share the same values,
Mhm.
right? And so knowing that, right, like I knew that in the legislature that oftentimes it's going to take people who look like us to band
Mhm.
together to get the things done, right? And so that's why you've seen strong partnerships with Senator Wayne and Senator McKinney, right? And making sure that we're bolstering that, right? But now having Ashley Spivey in there and now Victor Roundtree, right? It's important, right? Now we have more African Americans elected to the state legislature currently serving in any time in
Mhm.
history. Now that's wild.
That is in Nebraska, very well.
And so for me, right, as we've seen these investments and the things that we're able to achieve, right, on the state level, making sure that when we have the leadership that is intentional and knows how to navigate city
Mhm.
government and be tactful, right, is important. We need somebody who's going to sit in that seat on city council every Tuesday and fight for the community, even if they are going to lose. I firmly believe that just because you lose something, that doesn't mean that you don't try,
Right.
right? I think that it starts conversations, right? And I think that we need to have some hard conversations on a lot of things, from the police budget to the way that we evaluate TIF, right? And so for me, the reason I'm really running, right, is because I see North Omaha at stake. I see
Mhm.
the money that's coming in, and I see a leader that's incapable of rising to the challenge and being intentional about how those funds are going to be used,
Right.
are making sure that their voices are heard, right, when the city is doing things. And so I know that everybody's going to get on and they're going to talk about what they're going to do, right? And I
Mhm.
want us to have these honest conversations. I can't stress this enough, right? Having these real conversations and tough conversations is important, right? I think that what Anthony is saying, right, when he talks about the Democrats and the whole major party, it does play a role. But I honestly don't believe currently what's going on and what is being insinuated is happening, right? I
Mhm.
don't believe that the party inherently controls a lot of the people that they say that he believes they do. I don't think that they do that, right? From my understanding and my working for the party, they
Mhm.
have constantly been trying to make sure that they organize and communicate with disenfranchised communities. That's what they've been trying to do.
Yes, I
Now,
agree.
whether or not that they hit all the right notes, I can't say that they do,
I mean, just really quickly. Oh,
right? I can name probably on my hand how many community activists of color are people who are campaign staffers of color in the state of Nebraska. Right now, there's two on this stream who know how to run a campaign.
Mhm.
And so like when we talk about that, right, it's we have to be real honest about these conversations and how we
Right.
build black political power, because that's important for our seat. And that's what I'm important. That's one of the reasons that I'm running, but also because extremely care about this community. I believe that we need intentional leadership at local government to make sure that we're investing in our youth, investing in intentional economic development opportunities, and reevaluating how public safety works, because currently it does not work for us.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. Like I told y'all, this is Stay Woke, the hottest podcast in the Midwest, the only podcast that shouts you out in real time and answer questions from our audience. Right now, we did not do shout out at the beginning of the show, but hey, I'm remiss to say that I'm going to shout my people out today. I got Vanessa Warren in here, Andrea Foster, Tall Twin Silence, Precious McKesson's one of my favorite people from the Democratic Party, always kept me informed on everything that was going on. I love you. Thank you for joining in today. Sister Deborah Scott, Deborah Benjamin, Sandra Gibson, Shantae Moore, Chanel Nave. Okay, if I missed you from the earlier, hey, there it is. So I'm going to give Miss Weston. So we'll do that about 2 times in the show. But when I don't shout the people out, y'all, they tear my inbox up. You didn't see me. Look, you didn't see me. I'm like, I mean, hey, but if the conversation is rolling, then we gonna keep rolling. Miss Weston, thank you for your patience. I was trying to go in order, male, female. For whatever reason, it popped out. I'm glad that we have you back. Miss Weston, same question to you. Miss Weston, I just want to tell you that when I saw you at the debate, I felt like you were a nurturer. I felt that you knew what you were talking about. And I mean, it was an aura about even the way that you stood, the way that you viewed the audience and everything like that. I felt connected to you. And let me say, I had not met anybody. Mr. Lee, I met you about 4 days before the debate. I had not met anybody on this panel before the debate. And when I selected you guys, because I said this was the Fab Four, I don't play games. I don't give people props when they don't deserve them. I don't say, oh yeah, oh that look cute when it don't. I don't like people post when they look crazy. I just scroll right on past it. So that's not what I do. So when I say something to you, that is coming from me. That's coming from my heart. It's genuine. Nobody has ever paid me to lie in my life before. So there's no reason for me to do it. Miss Weston, tell us why you're running for District 2 and what this community means to you.
Well, thank you very much for the invite. I don't think that's mine. I am running, and I'm going to tell the story of why I decided, because it was towards the last. It wasn't towards, it was the last. I went to a debate, one of the first ones that was held. And after leaving that, I think I've been removed.
No, you're not. The feedback was coming because you had 2 feeds coming in. Once you said, I think that's not me, I looked and I said, okay, let me remove the second one. You're still here.
Okay. It's still showing I'm in the backstage, but I think I'm live.
We see you.
Okay.
Yep.
When I went to that debate, I came away with, and I'm not sure what the proper word would be, but I was disillusioned. And I was looking at the various candidates, and I'm like, what does this community need? And did I see it there? And I didn't see it. And so there have been people who have been asked to me, would you run? And I said, no, I'm not. We're going to give it to somebody else. But I'm looking at it and I'm saying, we don't need to go back. There are candidates, you've had your opportunity. One of the candidates wasn't there. Our incumbent wasn't at that particular one. You had an opportunity. You had 4 years. And now all the things that you're doing, why didn't you do them 4 years ago?
Facts.
I looked at our other candidate, one of the other candidates who was there, and who left without participating in his usual manner. And body language speaks a lot.
Definitely.
And Ms. Wallace, you can testify to that. Body language speaks a lot. So there was no change. You had 12 years and you couldn't accomplish what you needed to accomplish. And then you have, I thought was really, you felt like you could come back and this community would accept you. And you noticed at the last debate at the ASO uh, or AOS is that when asked the question, what have you done? I thought about Janet Jackson's song, what have you done for me lately? And I couldn't count. And his answer was, well, I've been working on for a year and a half on an app. That doesn't do it. Because this is one of the most important elections for North Omaha at this particular time because of national administration. It's also important because we have a city election that's going to take city council and the mayor. That's important because those are the two that make our everyday lives better or worse. Those are the two that handle the streets, our public safety, our parks. Everything is decided on this election. And these are going to be 4 years of crucial that we need to have someone in the seat who understands what the city council can do and should do and the responsibilities. One of the questions that was asked at that forum was, how many times have you been at city council meetings? And not one was on a regular basis. And Miss Goodwin, who raised her hand, which I did correct, is yes, you have attended city council meetings rarely, and they have been for specific issues. So it was like, that's not what it takes. It takes to be there all the time. I can, as some people like to say, they navigate City Hall. I know how to navigate City Hall because I do it each and every day, but I don't broadcast it. I know how to talk to people and with people, but there's something more important is knowing how to listen. And I think that I've done that. I've been committed to this community. I've not just now all of a sudden shown up. I've been here. I've been at various meetings. I attend on a regular basis. I know, sir. I'm on various boards that can help do things for our community. Because our community, I do take that personal. I don't take things against me, but there's two, my family and my community, that's personal because that's me, part of me. And I felt like I can do this job. And I said, at one of the debates, I said, I can be your city council person day one. And now I notice that that's popping up quite a bit during this campaign is I can do day one.
So they done stole your catchphrase, Miss Wesson. They done stole y'all gonna pay Miss Wesson. Y'all gonna give her royalties for her cat. That's what you gonna do. Nobody better not use it on this forum. I'm charging. I'm talking about the audience member too. Don't steal Miss Wesson's catchphrase.
That's okay, because you know what? When people take things, that means that it was good and it was right.
That's right.
But and I just want to say, I'm not opposed to anybody running. And Miss Wallace, there was a lot of conversation going on in our community about, there's so many people running. It's going to split the vote. We need to take and get behind. No, what we need to do is to make sure we get out and vote.
Yes.
Get out and vote. And I took this to be, although there's 8 people or 9 people, whatever it is running, that's called competition. And competition makes you better, or at least it should make you better.
Yes, ma'am.
And also is that if there's that many people running, what does that do to increase the votes? Because they always say District 2, and stats will show you that District 2 has the lowest voting record. But with this many people, maybe it's going to bring more people out to vote because there's different sections who want a different person. But to sum it all up, I felt I could do the job. I felt I wanted to do the job, and I'm going to fight to do the job.
All right now.
But it's the mannerism in which I will do that. And it's not about just me, because North Omaha is a very vast area, has very diverse culture and demographics of
Right.
individuals, residents. And we can't focus on just one. We have to be out there. And I will say to every candidate that's here now and those that are listening or watching, I'm going to go back to those two things. Where have you been for 4 years? And what have you done for this community in that time that makes it so that we knew you? And to say people know, evidently they don't. And so that's why I want to run, because I feel that I am one of the best candidates to do the job to represent District 2 over the next 4 years. And I will do it with dignity and integrity, transparency, and honesty.
All right, now I definitely that was powerful, Miss Weston, and I also agree. We got to hit a couple of questions, Miss Goodwin. I'm going to get to you, but we got to hit a couple of questions in here. But I definitely agree with you as far as, because just because I'm not running doesn't mean that I can't do work for my community. So when the question was imposed, where have you been? You know, and I'm gonna tell you now, Ben Gray is my brother. I'm an Eastern Star, so he is my brother. I did invite him to the platform, but obviously you guys were my top 4 picks. I said that in several live feeds. He has been there, done that, so I invited him. I thought he did a decent job, but some of the questions, I think that you guys were rushed and weren't able to answer like the way that you wanted to. That's why I wanted to give you this platform to do so. So it looks like Mr. Wright and Precious have some conversations over here talking about the I do want to just respond to this last question here about losing 40,000 voters from the Democratic Party. Gerrymandering can cause us to lose 100,000 people. If the people are in control, I don't know, Anthony, is exactly when you were saying,
No, I meant that people, and it doesn't matter if they get gerrymandered, you can still remain in the party. Many have left the Democrat Party and become independents, and this is happening all across the country. This, of course, also occurred. Mr. Lee liked to bring up people of color. It was largely the fact that for Vice President Harris that led to her demise and the loss of all 7 swing states. The bottom line is that more and more Black
I don't
people.
believe that. I don't believe that.
I'll be happy to show you the statistics. I mean that's just the bottom line. Yeah, those are the statistics. Black people have woken up to the fact that it was President Biden who signed the crime bill that led to massive mass incarceration. That it was Bill Clinton, a Democrat. That's what I'm saying.
That's okay. Hold on, Mr. Lee. Let me answer that, because I've been in politics. I've been voting since I was 17 years old. It was 30 days before my birthday. So back then in Nebraska, I don't know what they're doing now, because I've been voting since I was 17 years old. So one thing, these people that just keep bringing up stuff, you have to bring the content. Don't just like in the Bible verse, you can't say something about the Bible verse, get 2 words out the verse, but don't talk about what came before and what came after, because that's where you lose the content. President Biden, the era you're talking about is an era that was full of drugs. Black leaders was coming, begging and pleading, please. They was losing their children. They beautiful daughter that was in college, that was going to law school, is now a crackhead. They losing their kids. Their kids are selling kids. They selling their bodies. They doing. Black leaders came and said, y'all are not doing enough. The white people weren't even educated enough on crack cocaine. They didn't know what it was. When the black leaders came to them, when they said, no, you guys have to do something. You guys have, that was 40 damn years ago. Don't be saying nobody lost nobody. Joe Biden won in 2020. Joe Biden was the best candidate. Kamala Harris was the best candidate, because people came, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You can't pay me to believe that Trump won all 7 states. You cannot pay me to believe that man won all 7 swing states. Nobody in the. No. I don't believe in conspiracy theorists or not.
I mean, I think what you're demonstrating is that there is a fundamental loss of faith in democratic systems in this country. democratic systems which were never made for us in the first place. Trump said the same thing in 2020. Now people who supported Harris are saying that now. And I think that that's the problem, is that there has been a lack of trust. And all I'm trying to say is that there were Black leaders who spoke out against the crime bill. John Lewis did not vote for the crime bill. The great John Conyers, who invented Medicare for All from Detroit, did not vote for the crime bill. Maxine Waters, Auntie Maxine, did not vote for the crime bill. So I think that we have
I'm
to put
gonna
in
give
a
you the
perspective.
floor in 2 seconds, Ms. Goodwin, because you have been very patient. Just like Chuck Schumer didn't vote for the bill for various reasons, because he said he didn't want the system to shut. You're gonna have people on both sides to vote or not to vote. So we can't just pick and choose. But I'm saying
all seven states,
the time that was there. We're gonna give Ms. Goodwin the floor. Give me a
17
second.
states did. You're supposed to be a political operative. Michigan,
CD2.
We got
CD2
okay.
was
So
also
right
one
now,
of those
Pennsylvania,
states.
no, because I
Arizona,
can mute
CD2.
anybody at any time.
Wisconsin.
Mr.
Which
Wright.
states didn't vote for? If you're going to say
Mr.
about the
Wright.
blue dot,
Mr.
I-
Wright.
That was a swing state.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Ms. Okay,
That's
what
not
we
a
gonna
swing
do?
state.
Listen,
It is a congressional district. It's not a
listen,
swing
you'll be
state.
off the air in 2
I
seconds.
want to make sure Mike knows the difference between a
Let me
district and a
see.
state.
Let me see, because I can mute anybody at any time. Ms. Goodwin has been extremely patient. Mr. Wright, you are smart. You come with statistics. And when I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna just bring this in here. And I said this about you. You are very smart, you are very intelligent, and your comebacks are on point. You know, you are entertaining with your comebacks. I was like, damn, all through the thing. But this is the thing. You're gonna have to be able to connect with the people. It's a difference between just coming, throwing out statistics and doing that. You're gonna have to be able to connect with the people. I loved you. I ain't gonna lie. But when I was in there, it was three women that was saying, because I was saying, I was like, damn, he killing it. And people know me. I was like, damn, he killing it. And I was streaming it live. It was three women that came to me, brought their phones and said, he don't like women. They showed me arguments that you've been having on Facebook. And then I was like, okay, be quiet. Let me, and then so they was like, no. And I was like, send it to me. They sent it to me. We're going to get back to that. Miss Goodwin, please accept my apology. You have been so
guys,
patient.
listen.
You
I
have
think
been
the one
so
thing
patient.
about this is we're all politicos, okay? So I mean, we need to have coffee at some point and just do this where we can just talk about the things that we're passionate about. But the question was, why are you running for District 2 City Council? And my reasoning is I'm leveling up, okay? I've been on the ground working in North Omaha. My husband and I, 25 plus years. Listen, one of our first anniversaries, we actually went to Yankton Federal Prison to minister to individuals who were incarcerated. And we did that 8 years together. He was clearly leading that charge. And that's just one of the many things that I've done in this city, in North Omaha, in District 2 for my community. But in 2014, we started Global Leadership Group Community Garden. That was grassroots revitalization on the ground. That was after school at Omaha North, teaching students leadership skills. And then we moved out into the community even more so in 2016 when we started the community garden. That's where I really got an on the ground look at, wow. You can drive through a community, you can touch down in your favorite spot, your grandma's house, your barbershop, or you can get in the ground and work. And when you start working, you begin to see the challenges in real time. Furthermore, we wanted to take the students and give them an opportunity to be a part of the solution. My daughters went to Omaha North, although I am proud to say I am a Central Eagle through and through. But you know what they were experiencing online is kids dissing them and dogging them because they lived in North Omaha. And my whole thing was, you know what, guess what? A kid does not decide where they live.
Right.
Okay, a kid lives wherever their parents or their caretaker lives. And so I said, how can kids be a part of the change that we all know needs to happen? And so we got on the ground. We revitalized one of 100 acres of vacant lots on 24th and Spencer Street. And so people may say, I've been hyper-focused on North 24th Street. That's because I started the first business improvement district along with that board of directors and stakeholders. BIDs are vehicles. They're quasi forms of government that can be utilized to catalyze revitalization. And we're now the only business improvement district in North Omaha, although the city has 9. And where you're seeing transformation like downtown, Blackstone, okay, Benson. We all remember Benson when you just drove through because there was nothing there. We all remember Blackstone just a few years ago. Okay, and I do want to correct some misinformation that was said at AOS, and that is we were not by any means one of the first BIDs to be started in Omaha. Benson was started as a BID in the 70s and then reemerged in 2017. And we were probably more like the 6th BID. And I meet with the Omaha BIDs on a regular basis, talk with all of them. So I know that data for a fact. So for Ms. Weston to say that we were one of the first BIDs to be started and have had less improvement.
I'm going to interrupt you respectfully.
Well,
that is not what I said. That is not what I said. You may continue, but I'm not going to sit here, Ms. Goodwin, and let you say something that I did not say.
Okay, well,
now,
we can roll back the tape because I pride myself in being honest.
Okay, so respectfully, let Ms. Goodwin finish her thought. I'll give you guys a moment to rebuttal, a short rebuttal from anything that you disagree with what somebody said. Ms. Goodwin, please continue.
Yeah, so really what I'm saying is working in. So you asked why am I running for City Council District 2? We started the Business Improvement District in 2020. Since then, I've raised $15 million in infrastructure. Listen, you got to know how to play the game. Yes, I worked across the aisle, but guess what? It was to bring money back to this district for the people of this district, okay? $13 million for streets and sidewalks when until last year, North 24th Street didn't even have one bus shelter. How disrespectful. All right, that we would have the third highest ridership in this city, and we can't even have the necessary bus shelter amenities. Raised $2 million for facade improvement, and these projects are in the process of being implemented because anybody knows that government never happens overnight. Okay, right. Economic development is a long game, but I'm also running for City Council District 2 because right now, all of the work, the progress we've done with the community, we've had to work around our current council person. Okay. We've had to, when we have challenges, we have to find an alternative today instead of going directly to the person who should be our direct connection to the city. And so we need somebody right now who understands not just how to show up to a public hearing. Listen, anybody can do that. But I've navigated that city budget, brought $2 million of that infrastructure dollars from the current city budget. Okay. Know how to work with the department head. Just one thing to show up and talk. And let me just tell you this as a community. The work is not in the meeting. Anybody can go to a meeting and sit and listen. But then how do you take that information, disseminate it, use the processes at hand, or find new avenues to bring back meaningful change to a district? Listen, I'm running because I'm already doing the work, championing safety. And I am not going to apologize for the work that has been done in the North 24th Street BID area, because guess what? Right. It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint. Homicide rate in this district is down by 50%. 50%. These are precinct data. And guess what that is? Go ahead. Fact check me, Anthony. Fact check me. Because I pride myself. No, I'm tongue in cheek for a little bit. Because what I'm really saying is that's lives saved. And yet, in 2022, since 2022, the BID area, and to be clear, what I'm talking about is from Cummings Street to Meredith Avenue, from 20th Street to 20th Street, 25th Street. In 2021, we had 25% of Omaha's homicides within a half-mile radius of that district. That was 8 Black lives lost to meaningless gun violence. We've lowered that, meaning we've saved lives through working with community conversations, collaborating. Okay, listen, we know we need to hold the precinct and the police to accountability, but then you also have to know how to navigate it for the benefit of our community as well. Listen, they are not the judge, executioner, or jury, but we did collaborate. And can I just say this? Since 2022, of the 6 homicides that have happened in our district, 5 have happened after 2:30 in the morning. 5 of them. And yet we worked for a disorderly premise ordinance to just ask folks to be a good neighbor and go home after the bars close. And guess what? We could not get the current council person to vote for that very simple ordinance. And what we were looking at is saving lives and making North Omaha a community where you shouldn't have to move west of 72nd Street to have a good night's rest in on the weekend and during the summer. And I'm not going to apologize for that work, because I really believe if we raise up neighborhoods in the way that we focused on North 24th Street, it becomes a blueprint for the rest of District 2, which is downtown to North Downtown to really all the way toward State Street. Okay, so we've got a very large district, but we have a blueprint for how we can actually get meaningful change done. So there could be a lot of rhetoric that happens here, but I think people really need to look at who do they see in the community. Okay, do they see a difference? People can throw salt and they can throw shade. It is plentiful. But what is really happening, and who are the people who know how to navigate to move this community forward? And so, yes, I'll say this. Why do I show up only at council meetings today? Because I'm busy, baby, doing the work. I'm busy championing for our community. And guess what? I'm going to tell you, some things should make the community mad. I'm not going to be apologize when I stand out, because we can all talk about who's not where. And when a homicide happens in this district, I am there with those families. And you know what? I am never going to feel good about that. I am always going to be pissed off. I am always going to be angry when I can name the spaces and the names of the individuals who've lost their lives in our district. And if anybody can be calm, cool, collected about that, I would dare say they got a problem.
All right, thank you, Ms. Goodwin. At this time, we do have some audience questions. I'm gonna hold you guys out, but thank you for all the people that's tuning in. Mr. Lee, I'm gonna give you a moment to respond, and then Ms. Weston, make sure y'all jot down, because if y'all anything like me, when I'm at a meeting, I'll be like, oh, and then I forget what I'm gonna say. I forget what my question was. So make sure that you write down your questions. Anthony, I'll give you a moment to respond to. And then I want to get to the second question, which is one of my most important questions. Definitely want to know why you were running, because I don't think you guys had adequate time as far as your introduction. I will say this. I am very impressed with each and every one of your answers. You guys took time. I can tell you feel, you believe in what you're doing. So you guys took time to come on here. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for giving fulfilling answers, because there are such things as political answers, empty answers, but thank you for giving fulfilling answers. I really appreciate that. Mr. Lee, you have the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, right, I think what we lasted on was gun violence, right? And I feel with I feel with Lavanya, right, with that, right? Any lost life is lost. It shouldn't be that way. And so when we talk about this, right, I also want to make sure that we're talking about this from a sense of community, because we're going to understand this from a place that no one else is going to get this. Right.
Facts.
And so when we talk about that ordinance, or just the culture of people wanting to have social clubs and stay out till 2 p.m., right, to go to motorcycle clubs and these social clubs, right, it is important that we have these conversations and we're bringing in everybody and we add that context, right? So yes, I do understand that we do have social clubs and motorcycle clubs that operate. But these are also some of our best organizers. These are the people who are also going out in the community. Now, I think that when we talk about how to address the poverty, or not the poverty, but the violence that's happening at these areas, because there is a lack of entertainment spaces for youth, right? We have to be
Facts.
completely honest about that. Where in the 80s and the early 90s, people used to be able to go to the 24th Street and drive in their park and hang out in parking lots, right?
Mhm.
That's not available to them no more. And so now, even now, right? Like when we talk about bars and clubs, all of those spaces are being shut down and closed. Instead of talking about how to work with people in the community who are doing safety and public safety things like Kasim and the Black Agenda Alliance, like Leo Lewis, who actually goes out to the motorcycle clubs and helps deal with some of the conflicts that might arise, because sometimes people are just being dumb, young and dumb. But a lot of it is because we are being bottlenecked into going to certain places because we don't have spaces to go, right? And so for me, when I talk about investing into our youth, right, I'm talking about the way that we evaluate how we look at small business owners and bar owners and clubs, and how they're interacting with, specifically with Black and brown patrons, right? Because we've seen what happens in Crush, right, with them being closed down. We've seen what happened at Threes. We've seen all the establishments that's been closing in North Omaha, and yet we keep acting surprised that our kids and our youth are going into some of these spaces or into some of these events, and they're fighting. Well, yes, I'm fighting with the people that may not like, but I'm also forced to go to this party because I also want to have fun. I also want to experience different things. And so when we talk about this, I just want to have honest conversations. We do not need to create more felonies
Okay.
to address public safety. We do not. I do not. I firmly believe that anybody who sits on the city council seat for District 2 has to hold that position. But also, right, we need to make sure that we're investing. And so when we're talking about collaborating with police, I do believe that they are a part of the puzzle. I do believe that they have a seat somewhere in the room. But I believe that ultimately it's going to take, just like everybody on this call and the community, to police ourselves and to work to make sure that we have actual funds and investments that we can do that, right? And so that's why when I talk about the $225 million for the police budget and how I believe that it is overinflated, right? Now they're talking about how they need 100 more police officers, yet, and how crime is down. Why do we need the police officers?
What you say? That don't
How do
matter.
we ever
May I
start to
say,
how do we ever start to be preventive on the front end of these things? And so
Right.
for me, I don't want us to be reactive by creating other ordinances or statutes that criminalizes people, right? Because I don't think that shouldn't be the goal that we're looking for here.
Okay.
and can I just say this? Michael Lee, I appreciate your thoughts on that. I want to be very clear. Currently, when we address an issue, we always go to the owner or the person first and sit down to try to have meaningful conversations. And can I say, in most cases along this district, when we've gone and had those sit down conversations, we've resolved them at those opportunities. Okay. Because it's never just a goal to just, oh, shut it down. Okay. But when you have an entity that runs a woman out, who's owned a Black woman who owned her home for 50 years, Miss Jency Jones. I'm gonna keep championing her name. You know why? Because one day I hope I'm 92 years old and if I choose to stay in North Omaha, I want to be safe as an elderly person. She paid her dues. And yet, you know what? Listen, let me be very, very clear about what I'm talking about, because I'm not making a broad stroke about all motorcycle clubs. I'm not making a broad stroke about all bars. But I am talking about when entities become nuisance and they refuse to be good neighbors. That woman, after videos, after conversations, after trying to talk with them amiably, she finally sold her home after 50 years. Is that what we want? So we do have to find a way to close loopholes like the bottle club loophole that keeps nefarious actors from creating an environment that reduces the quality of life.
Ms. Goodwin, let me ask you a
Community.
question really
So,
quick.
yes.
Where did this woman live at?
This woman lived off of 25th and Ames Avenue, right across the street from a motorcycle club. And I don't want to, because there's a lot more to talk about, but I do want to be very clear that I can pull up the emails, I can pull up the video, baby. I do not sit here and try to fabricate. And I also want you to know that the community neighborhood associations, we went down to talk to the city attorney. It was not just one person or one entity saying this needed to change. There was community collaboration specifically within this neighborhood and corridor that we had to find a way to solve a problem. And yet people were dying. And I think this is the thing. How much fun is it worth when people are losing their lives? And not only
See,
that,
I think that's where you
let me
conflated
finish
that,
my
though.
thought, Mr.
I
Lee,
think that's where
please.
you're
Listen,
conflating what
you know
I'm
what?
saying.
Safety
I'm
and
saying at the
security
same time
has
that we're
a
talking about
direct
investing
trajectory
into our
toward
youth and
Okay.
spaces
economic
for our youth.
development. Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this is
So,
what I'm saying, right?
My rebuttal
All I'm
time.
asking is when we
okay,
have
it's
regarding this
not okay,
conversation,
My
Mr.
to be
Lee.
honest
rebuttal
about it.
time.
Is reclaiming her time. Miss
That's
Wesson is
right.
reclaiming
I'm
her
going to
time.
reclaim it.
Go ahead, Miss Wesson.
I will say that part of what Mr. Lee said is very true.
But they
And
weren't
you
a part
talk
of the
about
conversation.
now wait a minute.
Hold on, Miss
I'm
Wesson.
going to be very clear. Okay.
Go ahead, Miss Wesson.
Mr. Lee was, because 24th Street is where people went. And we know that there was always after hours clubs. There was always there's been the chance of somebody getting hurt, shot, cut, whatever. That's always been there because that's been part of the culture that's been there. But
And
at
we
that
accept
time,
that. We accept death on our
Hold on.
There's part of your problem.
Because
you want to interrupt all the time.
I'm going to comment after you, Miss Wesson. So please keep that. Go ahead, Miss Wesson.
Is Mr. Lee said, and some of that I agree with, but I want to also be very clear, because first I want to clarify something that was said when at the last meeting, and now you want to say that I said. I did not say what I said about the BIDs was there are 9. And those are all much farther advanced than the North 24th Street BID. And what I've heard from Ms. Goodwin is constantly, it takes time. We don't have time. When is our time? We need to get this moving. And I look at when you can go down South 24th Street, you can go to the Benson, and Benson really took off after it was an association that it began as. Dundee was the same way. It wasn't the BID, it was associations. Those started, and we can go back for facts. But my point is, I don't try to tell me something, put something in my mouth that I did not say. I did say that those 9 are so much farther, and all I keep hearing is government takes time and it's complex. We are not a dumb community that cannot understand what needs to be done and said. The other thing I want to go and talk about clarity.
No one said the community
Let
was
me
dumb,
be
and I
very
want that to
clear.
be very clear.
Let me be very clear in my comment. Mute. You know, I can't mute, because if I would, I'd mute you. But when you talk about you're not putting a broad stroke, yes, you do paint a broad stroke against the community. Ordinances, we don't need more things to criminalize our people. And no ordinance is going to stop a murderer. No ordinance is going to stop a person from killing someone. And I think you are being disrespectful to the families of those that were killed to bring that up, that if it hadn't been for the incumbent, because she voted against it, that is her prerogative to vote one way or another. But I don't think that is something that I would want. I know I'm not going to lay my head on that. If an ordinance comes up that doesn't get, I don't ever want it to be said because of that. So what I'm trying to say is that ordinance that she was against was going to stop. That's not true. It's not going to stop somebody from killing another person. But I do agree with Mr. Lee. If we had more things down on our area for people to socialize, not only the young, but the old and the middle age, because some of us might like to go out and have a drink.
I used to like to hang out.
And we're not saying that.
I'm going right to you next, Anthony. But Miss Wesson, I do want to, I'm going to comment on what Miss Goodwin said about the motorcycle club. I believe the one that's across the street from the 357. Am I correct? Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm going to just be honest. It'd be a lot of shit going on down there. it be congestion, and it does. I mean, because I am an Eastern Star, so I'm at the building across the street. Sometimes I remember we had something and we had to really escort people in. So I understand when there's congestion and things like that, especially in a certain area. And when people see people hanging out, I mean, it's just real life. When people see hanging out, they might whip around and just go hang out too. We could do that back in the day, but in this day and time, and not saying that the ordinance would have stopped anything. I agree with you 1,000%, Miss Weston, on that. Not saying that that would have stopped anything. It's Anthony's, Mr. Wright.
Can I just, Miss Wallace, may I just please say, I know Anthony, but I just think that if we want, number one, Miss Wallace, you do your fact checking. So I do think that it would be good to bring the community some facts around this, because we can have opinions abound. But I do this every day, and that's all I'm focused on. And so I'm happy, to either to provide the facts or have an opportunity to talk about what that really meant. It was more than just folks hanging out, because you notice 357, the Prince Hall Lodge, we don't just come at them, because if it was just about coming at gatherings, then we would come at them as well, but we never have. And it was more than just people hanging out. We had a homicide there October of last year.
I remember.
People drug needles in their yard, women being raped. That's not fun anymore, okay? And they wouldn't even start their fun, if that's what we're calling it, until after 2:30 in the morning. So if we can't have some common sense, we're going to continue to see our demographics. People say, I don't want to live in
Okay,
North
Ms.
Omaha.
Goodwin, I'm going to stop you there. Your point was made, and I agree 110%
Thank you.
with you. Anthony, you are my official fact checker. If you got some facts you want to share, or if you got a comment,
no.
you will
I
get
mean,
some facts checked.
I think, yeah, no, I mean, I think that, I mean, for me, what in the 8 years that I've been here intermittently, left for 2, to go back to DC for a job, and then came back. What has hurt me the most about what I've observed, and we saw it during the debate, during the Q&A, during the debate, is the factions within the biggest Black community in the state. It's really, really hurtful to see. And I just want people to understand that these factions within our community are serving no one but mainly white vulture capitalists who are circling around North Omaha, waiting to come in and prey on the fact that we are so divided. Another word for it is colonization. This is literally how they have colonized Africa, South America, these stolen lands of indigenous people as well, is through colonization. And so I think that obviously it's clear that Miss Lavanya cares about this community, just as Brother Mike does. What I'm not hearing is terms like transformative justice that go beyond this carceral state. Transformative justice is about going to the root causes of all of this in the first place,
like the
not
current,
trying to
like
lock
the current,
us up more.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the go with the flow, and that's why our campaign name is go against against the current together. But speaking of North Omaha brilliance, this is an amazing book by the great Matthew Stelly, who was the founder of the 111 Neighborhood Association. He's a UNO scholar, North Omaha scholar, a dear friend of the great Senator Ernie Chambers. And this is after he talked about, and this I would like Ms. Goodwin to speak to this. Since 1977, according to Dr. Stelly, over $200 million has been plowed just into the 24th Street area and North Omaha writ large. And I'm just going to read what he says verbatim, because I think it's important. And he says, today, the 24th and Lake Street area is all but abandoned, and the city of Omaha owns all 4 corners of the once popular cultural jazz section. There is no real commercial development. A Negro named Michael Maroney has taken over the so-called Omaha Economic Development Corporation and has built houses that can't be rented and office space that goes on unused. All this in preparation for the return of the whites to the inner city, which is right next to the Riverfront development. So I guess my question would be, why is 24th Street so moribund? Why is it so dead if all of this money has been invested in it? We got a basketball court with a gate around it. One of your billboards is right above this basketball court
$2 million,
that's empty,
$2 million.
never used. Where are the people, and where is all this money going? 2.5 billion, 15 billion, 13 million, 8 million. What happened to all this money?
Too, Anthony, I'll say in 1997, I was having kids and was newly married. So that if that that was
I'm gonna
then.
give you 2 minutes to answer that
Yes,
because I
ma'am.
have to
Yes,
answer my
yes.
question that
But
I
if
need to
people
know
don't
from all of y'all.
believe, if people don't believe that economic development is a long game, and that a lot of these projects are in planning and implementation stage, then I don't have a better answer for you, right? The BID is 5 years old. We've raised $15 million. And I'm telling you, we've got 13 million for sidewalks, streets. And we got another 2 million that we just put out a notice. We're working on our facade improvement program now. Okay. But yes, we need everything right now. I won't argue with that, Anthony. And that's why we need somebody who understands how to get it done. And yes, it's been too little too late, but now is not the time to act like nothing's happening, because we need to plug in with skilled trades. We need to get ready for all these projects that are happening. How are we going to be a part of the money that's already designated? Because if anyone's saying it's not, they actually don't know what they're talking about, and we need to fact check them and hold them accountable on that. Economic development is a long game. I'm a member of the Economic Development International Council, so I study economic development. I'm just not running my mouth at a council meeting acting like I'm ready for a position.
Okay.
Just to be clear, I'm a member of the New Economy Coalition. I'm a member of Movement for Black Lives. I'm a member of Black Alliance for Peace. These are all Black women-led, Black queer women-led, Black trans women-led formations that are more radical than many of the entities that we've seen in this city. So I agree with that. I know economic development is a long game, but Ms. Cheryl is right, and I want to give her props because she is mentioned in this book because she was a part of a lawsuit against HUD for basically taking all these community development block grants off the backs of poor people in North Omaha, and then us never getting it. Of course, that lawsuit didn't go through. So I know economic development is a long game, but to Ms. Cheryl's point, that's not the case in Benson. That's not the case in Blackstone. You said 5 years ago, and look at Blackstone now.
That is not all private development.
But
and
it's
Ms.
not all.
Wallace, can we
Listen.
move on? Because I want to get to your other questions.
Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to move on. And Ms. Wesson and Ms. Goodwin, I'm going to reach out to all of y'all individually because I do want to know how long the other BIDs was in place. If this one is 5 years old, how long the others, and then how, because I want to educate myself. And some of my audience members are saying something like somebody said 15 million out of 15 million, 13 million went to streets and sidewalks, and 2 million went to a basketball court. So it's questions like that, because it seems like that definitely out of 15 million, we should have more than, and I ain't bragging about no streets because our streets are horrible. I don't know these streets are horrible. Sometimes I feel I had more stability on the cruise line driving down the streets on my street. It feel like I'm on a damn ship. So I don't know how much streets cost or nothing like that, but I will get with you guys individually. Definitely want to give you guys a platform because everybody is passionate, and I love that. I love everybody's passionate about our community. My question is, so my son told me, I said, well, this is the question I'm going to ask. And he was like, I think you shouldn't ask that question. So he comes sending me all kind of shit to rephrase it. I said, I'm answering the question. He was like, well, I said, listen here, little boy, young man. He's 25. I said, listen, he was like, well, I said, I don't give a fat rat's what you think, Devin. So here's my question. And then I'm going to expound on why I'm asking it like this, because I have experience in this. I want to let you guys know a little bit about me. Ex-law enforcement. I worked for Douglas County Corrections for 14 years. Ended up leaving. I had to sue him for discrimination. Won my case. Damn near represented my case. But y'all know I had to bring an attorney in just to make them know that I was about business. That's something I had to do. But as far as my paperwork, my notes, I have always a constitution, bylaws, contracts. Those are all the Bible to me in the workplace or where I'm at. Because if you don't know that, then you're walking in blind. So I want to know this. I was one of the founders of the African American Correctional Officers Association. We started in 1999. That was the year that I had my son, 1999. It is still standing, it's strong. We offered the membership to African Americans, Caucasians, anybody, any race. It was, we were there starting because of our people, because we were trying to bridge the gap of disparity between administration and the Black officers. we all know, we all black on this. Regardless, Miss Goodwin, of what somebody called you the other day, I know you black, honey. So so
Girl,
we all
you
black.
heard that, right?
We all know how stuff come down. Selective application when it has to do with us in many different situations. So we came up, we devised a plan. This is my question. I would like to know which one of these candidates will not shrink in a room full of white folks. And when I say that, I'm about to expound on that because what we did is I brought about 50 active members to the Fraternal Order of Police. That's the union. They weren't coming. People was paying their dues. Some people weren't in there. I said, no, if we want to make change, we have to come in here, sit at the table. We need a seat at a table. We went there, like they'd have 15 people there. Here come 35 black people. They looking like, what in the world is going on? So at that point, we seen what our power was. They was voting for stuff. We were saying, because we all met at my house in Lavelle Whitner house and said, we already know what our position is. We know what we're going to vote yes on. We know what we're going to vote no on. So we saw how powerful that is. So when I say this, we sat at my house at my table. I was being harassed by administration, the warden calling me all over, radio at me, all kind of stuff. And I said, what I do at my house, as long as the police ain't called, is none of your business. Because I'm not gonna ask you who you was with last night. Don't ask me who I was at. So we sat there. We said we want to get 2 black people on the board. That's what we want. We want 2 black people on the board. We said we're gonna vote. We said who want to run. Then we made a decision. 35 people at my house. We made a decision who was gonna run. We said to each other, let's make a commitment and vow that we are voting for this person for vice president and this person for this position. We did that. So when we're coming back to the Associate African American Correctional Officer Associate meeting, it's like, well, what did y'all do? What did y'all? And then you know what these brothers said? Two big black brothers, strong, muscular. You know what they came and said to us? I mean, we said stuff, but I mean, they don't listen. They don't be listening to us. And I mean, we both, we tired of saying stuff. What the hell? I could have went in there and they couldn't have shut me up if I was in there. So when I say shrink in front of a room full of white people, Miss Wesson, please tell me, because I definitely don't think you'll shrink in a room full of white folks. Tell me how you won't shrink in front of a room. And if you do, if you will, and I'm not saying I do know this, you have to work across the aisle. I've done it plenty of times. I tell folks all the time, you have to work across the aisle. I mean, you're not going to get nothing done if you think you just standing by yourself, you're going to do it. You have to be working. You have to be ready to go in a room with somebody just so you can know what their thought process is. You can't say, oh yeah, I don't think nothing about them. So you have to be willing to do that. Miss Weston, you have the floor.
Thank you. And I did follow up and read about Yes Your Case. It was very interesting. I checked you out because I like research. I like history, and also had your what you spoke on. But getting to the point is, I have stood and I will continue to stand, no matter who's in the room, if it's for the people and it's right. We have to get away from whether it's white or black, because you found out black can do you in just as well as you
Yes,
want.
ma'am.
So it's not about who's in the room, what color they are. It's about who's in the room and what is the reason we're in the room. And to give you a point, if you go back and check, and I thank Mr. Sherman Wells, who did a video when the mayor of Omaha, Gene Stothert, wanted to put Ben Gray back on the Omaha Land Bank after he lost the race.
I remember
And
that.
clearly, after he lost the race, I would think a person with good common sense and understanding would say, evidently the people didn't want him. So therefore, it would be a slap in our faces that we would want you to put him on the Omaha Land Bank. And there was a perfect example, and he did a video, he did his little editing to it. But I stood there, and what I asked, we worked it out, that there was X number of people who came down, and you're so right, power, numbers. But I asked, what is the reason? And they said, well, we want to put Ben Gray back on the Omaha Land Bank. And clearly, after he lost the race, I would think a person with good common sense and understanding would say, evidently the people didn't want him. So therefore, it would be a slap in our faces that we would want you to put him on the Omaha Land Bank. And there was a perfect example, and he did a video, he did his little editing to it. But I stood there, and what I asked, we worked it out, that there was X number of people who came down, and you're so right, power, numbers. Numbers, power. Those are equal to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't back down. I stood and made my testify. And what I said was, would everyone in this room please stand who is in opposition of this? And they were shocked. And President Festerson said, "Oh, Cheryl, I want you to talk to the city council members, not the people." That's what standing up for. If you believe it's right, you've
Mm-hmm.
done your homework, you can come. It didn't make any difference whether those were all white, black, purple, whatever. It was the thing that it was the people, and the people were with me. And I think you have to understand, some of the candidates have said, this is what I'm going to do on, this is what I'm going. No, it's not a I am going to do. You have to have, your colleagues have to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be able to get along to get what it is you want. But the thing is, we need more community engagement. And as you know, Chantel, at that last debate at the Assembly of Saints, I was so proud of my community
Mm-hmm.
because we came out. And you
Yeah.
know what? It made a difference. It made a difference on how we were perceived. And what they're talking about now is, whoever wins this, they know that we, the people, have
Mm-hmm.
understood the power that we have. So
Indeed.
I'm going to stand. I've stood before. I will continue to stand. And in my prior, as I like to say, my business career, I was only one of 5 Blacks that was working in management for a company, a top 50 in the Fortune 500.
Mm-hmm.
We had millions of dollars. So, when I hear, if you understood economics, if you understand, my degree is in economics, my degree is in business, my minor's in accounting. I understand it
Come
fully,
through.
but you have to learn how to take what you know to work for you, not against you. And you have to be able to work with people and bring them in. So, am I going to stand? You bet you. If
All
my
right.
community behind me, I'm going to stand. I have nothing to shrink. And I
I
was
know that's
told, and I'm going to end this with, I was told, because you've seen me, yes, I am a tall Black woman. I'm 6 foot. I've never bent my shoulders over. I don't put my head down. And the company brought me in to say, well, you might be intimidating. I said, and I can remember these words, I am a Black woman who is proud to be Black. I am a woman, and I'm proud to be that. And if my height bothers and intimidates, that's your problem because it's not mine. So if you know who you are, and what you're about, you don't have to worry. You can stand.
all right, Miss Weston. That's what I'm talking about. And you would be intimidating at 5'4". Anthony, it's on you.
Yes, I've seen Miss Cheryl in action, and she does not shrink down to anyone. Just as Miss Cheryl seen me in action, has not seen me shrink down to anyone. Miss Cheryl has seen me call Dan Begley out for the racist that he is, for what he did in his last city council race, and using riots to try to discriminate against a Black woman candidate. And she saw me do that. Speaking of credentials, I'm not even a lawyer, and I was the only Black director of lawyers at the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest, and I'm not even a lawyer. And I was telling 6 white lawyers what to do because of my expertise in climate and environmental justice. So there you go on that. And just the fact that, like, in my line of work, climate and environmental justice, as Ms. Cheryl will tell you, as the a board member of the Sierra Club of Nebraska. It can get lonely there sometimes, right? I stood up to OPPD, including Mike Lee's friend Eric Williams, who lied to the people about shutting down that coal-fired power plant that's choking our people out and exposing them to toxic air emissions. Right? I wasn't shaking hands with with Eric Williams, calling him out right next to Miss Cheryl all the time. And I'll go a step further. Miss Cheryl knows this. I sent an email to all the national funders saying, do not give any money to the Nebraska Sierra Club or the Nebraska environmental community because of how they treat Black and brown youth. And Ms. Cheryl has that email, and I'll send it to you, Chantel, as well. I do not ever step down from a fight, but I do want to say that Miss Cheryl is absolutely right. I consider myself an equal opportunity asshole if you are hurting my people. I don't care what your race is. So I'm going to call Dan Begley out for his racism, just like I'm going to call Mike Lee's friend Justin Wayne out for trying to hook up his frat brother with $40 million of the people's money instead of his sisters and brothers in community. And I think that's the type of city council person that people want, that is just going to stand for what's right and what is principled. Black Alliance for Peace, which I'm a proud member of, our motto is no compromise, no retreat. That doesn't mean we won't compromise. It means we won't compromise our principles, especially when it comes to standing up for poor and working class people, Black, brown, indigenous, yes, and even our white poor and working class people as well. Everybody in this on this call knows that I won't step down. I've had back and forths with Mike Lee's cousin, Sister Precious. Asked Sister Precious last week. Sister Precious came down to the bar that I was at, and we had words, and it ended up in hugs and kissing each other's cheeks because we both understand that we're fighters. But you're never gonna. I'm sorry. I come from the Black radical tradition. In the words of Stokely Carmichael, I hold this: if a white man wants to lynch me, that's his problem. If a white man wants to lynch me and I let him, then it becomes my problem. That is my ethos. And unlike a lot of other people, I actually know who Malcolm X was and what he stood for. I don't just wear him on the t-shirts and
So I'm gonna say this, Anthony. You were definitely a person that I said when I asked this question, I had no doubt that you would not shrink in the room. And when I say white folks, I say white folks because societally, in our societal terms, those are the people in power.
Correct.
So when I say that, so I don't literally, because I have white friends. They're the person who wrote our Constitution and bylaws for the African American Correctional Officers Association was white. So if we didn't have that, when she showed me that, that just lit a fire under me. So that's what, the meeting started, and she started the paperwork. We know when slavery time was going on, there wasn't no Black people in houses hiding people for Harriet Tubman. We know the white folks put candles in the window to say this is a safe haven. So I don't mean it like that. I mean it, but that is society. In society, white people means power. That's just, and there isn't anything we've done right now to change that. And so I want to know, Ms. Goodwin, will you shrink in front of the room?
I mean, this is the thing, Miss Wallace. I think it's a great question, but I don't shrink. I don't shrink in front of a room with Black people. I don't shrink on social media when people try to call me bitter because I care about Black and brown bodies and saving lives within my corridor. Okay. I don't shrink. I stand up, and that's how you do what I do. And yet it's done collaboratively. Let me give you a few examples. Number one, this Saturday, we'll be out collectively cleaning up our neighborhood because I believe in gathering people together to bring forth meaningful solutions that everybody can participate in. And we've been doing that now for 8 years strong. Okay. But when we did start talking about that disorderly premise, which was engaged by the community, I had a meeting with the city attorney, but I didn't go by myself. I called the neighborhood associations. And guess what? They were not expecting them. Matter of fact, the city attorney said, "Oh, what are all these people doing here?" I said, "Because they part of the neighborhood." And we sat down at his conference table, and he made room to hear all of those voices, many of them who were seniors, who've lived in this neighborhood all their lives, who bought their first homes, who labored in this community through all of its ups and downs and in between, and their voices needed to be heard. So oftentimes, yes, you may hear one voice, but you know what? No one can do community work by themselves. Hence the word community. I'll stand up some, but here's the thing. Shrinking sometimes meaning you do need to stand by yourself for the very reason you just said, Miss Chantel. That person somehow got cold feet for whatever reason. They got cold feet. So then do you believe enough to say, and I don't care what nobody says. And let me just tell you this. In 2021, we were in Kansas City and we were trying to have a vacation. So it was July 4th. And I got a call from the news. And it was because Jasmine Washington had been gunned down in 60 rounds of bullets on 24th and Grant. And I was so called on vacation. So I could have just let that phone ring. But you know what? I turned around and I looked at my own two daughters. And I thought, I would want somebody to stand up. God forbid. God forbid. And to all the mothers, all the families, and I'm too, have lost dear people I love to gun violence. Matter of fact, I don't think most Black people can say that they haven't.
Right.
Okay, because it's that prevalent. And you know what? I found a quiet place to talk to the community. Number one, to try to bring some level of comfort, but also to tell that family that we were standing with them. I stand with families at prayer walks, and yet that's one of the worst. No one makes me do that. That's not a job requirement. It's something I choose to do, to let the community know, to let those families know that they are not alone. And yet, if I never have to do it again because we end that homicide rate, thank God. To say that we should not attempt to address an issue that is, listen, it's plaguing our community, is remiss of any true leader. So I'll stand alone on that. Folk can slam my name. I don't care. You see, I don't even have a clap back because I'm confident in myself.
Come
And if
through.
God be for me, who can be against
Who
me?
can be against me? All right, Miss Goodwin. That's what I'm talking about. Well said, well said. And again, I'm going to say this. I would not want to, when people buy homes and stuff, you don't want all that bullshit around you. I don't. I don't want beer bottles and shit in my yard. I don't give a damn. If my house was down there, oh, I would have been at the city. Miss Weston, you would have been like, well, I know shit, because you know, I hate that they make you give your address and stuff there. But you would have knew my address by heart because I would have been rambling it every week. Get these damn people, because I at one time had to collaborate with the police because I seen that there was about to be a gang forming in my neighborhood. I seen it with my own eyes. I was working in law enforcement. I called the police every time those kids gathered in my neighborhood. 20 kids. Don't know, none of them live in the neighborhood. Drinking beer, sitting around. Oh yeah, I'm gonna protect what's mine. And anybody else that's paying taxes that own their stuff, they gonna protect their house. And for anybody on this committee, on this platform, in the audience to say that you're not, oh no, honey, I'm gonna protect what mine. I pay taxes. Might not be on time every time, but yeah, I pay taxes. So, Brother Lee, you are going to be last, but this is what I want to commend y'all on. I have to commend y'all on this. So here are my questions. 2 pages. 2 pages. Do y'all know y'all done hit almost everything?
That's what's up.
I didn't even have to go into just the flow of the questions. Y'all hit. I mean, the only thing I got is about that damn trolley, 10 million or whatever they spending on that trolley. Yeah, reallocate that money to something else. And good ding on Chris Rogers, Anthony, on the $74 billion empty youth center. I love that. But that's the only thing I had was about the trolley. So you guys have answered. I mean, not in chronological order, but this is a lot of stuff. So this is a lot. I was prepared. I did research on everybody. I did research on everybody. So I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of y'all. Give yourselves a round of applause before we go to Mr. Lee. So give yourselves a round of applause. Y'all did that. The only thing I have is the trolley on there. I was gonna ask something about Spencer, but that was under Juanita's thing, and I didn't even invite her because she didn't show up to the last thing. So yeah, she wasn't getting an invite. Mr. Lee, you have the closing argument, sir.
Yeah. I mean, I think Cheryl hit it on the head, right? How could people be scared to do what they need to do for the communities if they've been engaging and talking with the people, right? If you step alongside with the community, like I've been working, you know, just like other people on this call, right, in their own facets, right? The way that we're gonna have to, where we have to do this, right, is one, constantly making sure the community is there so that we constantly feel that feedback and we have that buy-in. Right now, I'll be honest, I'm not used to speaking so loudly, right, in these rooms, right? I'm a community organizer at heart, right? Like I love talking to people one-on-one, but big rooms, they make me a little nervous. But when we start talking about community things,
baby.
When we start talking about solutions, oh, that gets me fired up, right? I think we've been able to see that just on the interactions, right, of every everything that I've been a part of, right? Like start off slow, but then I feel like I honestly do love the passion, right? And so for me, look, these white people are going to be white people, and we got to be honest about it, right? People are going to be working against us, right? There's going to be people who look like us, and all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and we know that. Now, I'm not afraid, nor am I ashamed of any of the personal relationships that I built working in the community and doing this political organizing. And so while I understand, Anthony, your frustration with Eric, I've expressed that as well. Now, while I've had conversations, and I do talk with the senators deeply and have great conversations about the future of our community, those conversations, and when I hold and I speak up, those are between me and them. Those are my relationships that I built with them, to be able to tell them how I feel about the situation in hopes that they do something different. Now, I may not agree with everybody that I've worked with, right? That's just a fact. I don't agree on some things, whether that's education or safety, right? My thing is I can only tell them how I feel, communicate that, and then push for different outcomes. Now, I understand that there's going to be people who we work with, and that we're going to be in these community, in these roles, right? Especially for city council members. We have a lot of Black elected officials who are not currently doing right by the community. And like I said, when we're snowed in, clearly this is family.
That's my mama, y'all. I'm surprised she have not interrupted us today. Can they see me?
You know,
that's what she said.
Yeah, there's no need to apologize for that.
But
navigating this, right, is important. I think honestly, we have to be unapologetic about how we do business, right? I do not have an interest in being friends with the powers and developers who are currently in power, with the white people. I'm not scared of going inside these rooms and communicating and advocating for my community. The problem is, oftentimes I have to calm myself down before I do it to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that is tactful. So I'm navigating these racist comments that are coming, the things that they're doing on the back end, the people who are smiling in our faces, but also working behind us at the detriment of our community, right? We know these people. We see them every day.
Every day.
And so, yes, I think the question, your question hits it on the head. Who's in this room, especially in this chat, who's not going to shirk to the white people, but also to the people who look like us and tell us, meanwhile, while they're spitting off the cliff and it's hitting us on the head, telling us that it's rain. Right? Telling us that things are going to benefit our community. Meanwhile, it's not. And so that's why I want to make sure that, no matter whoever is in this room, when we talk about this, we can't be afraid to fight and stand up for our communities at all. We have to make sure that we're talking and we're doing it and we're getting in people's faces, even if they don't like it. But we have to do it in a way that is tactful, and it is also so the community can respect us. Because at the end of the day, we have to go back to our communities and into our people's faces and tell them that the reasons that we did what we did and said and moved how we moved was because we wanted to fight for them. And it came with outcomes. Right? I think for too long, people have been talking and they talk about real talk for real change, yet ain't no change happening. Yet they're getting loud, but they're just finding different mechanisms for them to maneuver around us. We have to make sure we're tactful, we're strategic about how we do business, because our community is on the line.
Can I add to what
Can I just say one thing, Ms. Chantella?
I'm gonna let Miss Wesson go, and then you, Anthony. Yep, go ahead, Miss Wesson.
And I have to say something too, just because everybody get a closing, right?
That's right.
I don't know if this is our closing or not. I just wanted to comment, as you said earlier, if you don't write down something and get it, you're gonna be done forgot. But he made a very strong, as I said at that end, there is, we have to be able to go into these rooms, and we don't look at, as you said, It's power.
Mhm.
There can be black power, white power, purple power, whatever. It's power. Because we have to get back, as Malcolm X says, when you don't own it, you don't control it.
Mhm.
You are in there with those who control because they own it. We have to get back to take on some of our problems ourselves, our responsibility. But if we go together as we used to go together, and I know, and I don't want to go backwards, only if backwards can help you go forward.
Mhm.
And that's where I think, as you said, it doesn't make any difference who's in there, is that we're going, but if we would have more community engagement before we get there, we will be able to, as you did with yours, 35 people in your house. We used to be able to go in it. Well, we can't do that. So we got to find that space is to be able to go in. So when we get in that room, if somebody can't speak, that's okay, because we already know what we're there for. That's what we have to work for. So I just wanted to, piggyback on what he just said is we've got to get to this. Quit worrying about who's who, if it's my take credit. It's not a thing. It's about this community
Mhm.
that we have, because as I wanted to say as in the front, we are at a very pivotal point. This election is very, very important for what's going to happen to North Omaha, no matter who wins that seat. Because remember, we're only elected from a district, but you're there for the whole entire city of Omaha. And if you can't get something done, you're not going to be able to accomplish it all by yourself. So I think your point was well taken.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Hold on, Anthony. I'm going to you. I'm just letting you guys know.
Yeah.
Usually, when the people put questions in, I ask the questions. It's tons of questions, so I'm just flashing them across. If you guys have been seeing it, I'm flashing the questions across, so that you guys can see what the audience is asking. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that's been said. I mean, I do want to say off the bat, we do have to be tactful, but we also have to be prideful. As I say right now to this community, there is no way any arm in arm with the chief of police leading a black led and on a Black History Month march. That was shameful. Weeks after an unarmed black or two unarmed black people have been killed, and that is capitulation. That is not compromise, and that is not tact. That was shameful. I will say that Ms. Cheryl is absolutely right. I believe I'm the only candidate that is committed to 20 hours a week of constituency office hours. That's 4 hours a week, y'all. Like 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. We're talking about bringing community in. Also, the only one who's committed to something really radical. A weekly newsletter, just a weekly newsletter, so people know what's going on. People know what's being voted on at City Council on Tuesday, and a City Council member can say, hey, this is how I plan to vote on these major ordinances. Let me know if that's not how you want me to vote. But we things like a weekly newsletter. How are we going to bring the community together? And then I will say that your platform, the only candidate that has also committed to people's assemblies, because Ms. Cheryl is right. We're one vote, but that doesn't mean we can't have citywide people's assemblies to get that 15% and get a ballot initiative on the ballot. Because I'm telling y'all right now, direct democracy is probably the most power that we have right now at the state level, which is why they're trying to take it away from us, and at the city level, which they probably soon will be trying to take away from us. So I'm all for this, but at the same time, we've also got to be able to stand up and say, nah, it is not appropriate for a white chief of police to be leading a Black History Month march at a time when we do not see accountability for cops who are killing our babies. That is just wrong. And if that's going to make me uncomfortable with Gene Stothert and Tony Connor, in the Omaha Police Officers Association, but there comes a time when our people need to see us standing up for what's right. That is why we are so proud of the fact that Alhaj Malik Al-Shabazz is as his great mother, Louise Little.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Sister Goodwin.
Yes. And you guys, this has been, listen, I want to really encourage the community that this is the fun part. This is the hyped part. People want to hear what people say, but sometimes it's boring. Sometimes come on. Let's just be honest. Because if we're really going to start talking about how we stay in this long term, we're going to have to be willing to be in the game when it's just long and drawn out and we're not getting the wins, or maybe the wins are small. And so I can't stress enough that is really one of the reasons why raising up neighborhoods is such a strong part of my platform, because no one person can do this on their own. It's going to take the collective effort of all of us to move this community forward with a positive trajectory. And so we've got to learn how to work together. I think some of it is too, I think we need to call one another on our records. But when you've got people who are, being, let's just all mean and ugly, because I think saying the truth about someone's record is very different than just being darn right mean and ugly and disrespectful. And I think we have to know the difference from that, because if we don't hold our leaders to accountability, okay, listen, look what happened in South Omaha. We had a leader a city council person who, first of all, was on probation for federal tax evasion. Why he was even able to run again and be reelected is beyond me. But then that should have been the telltale sign. He gets reelected only to be federally indicted.
Exactly.
And guess what happened? Then District 4 really went without a council person for how many months while the dude collected a paycheck. We can't afford that. No, he did. He collected city money. That's not a lie. That's not personal. That's just facts.
Yeah.
And if we can't hold one another, one, to the facts. Number two, to be an upstanding citizen. How are you going to be able to determine the city council budget when you can't pay your taxes? That is such an oxymoron. I don't even know what is. And so we're going to have to not just speak truth to power, but we're also going to have to raise the standard within our own community to say, this is who we need representing us. Okay? And accountability is a two-way street. Listen,
definitely.
Championing safety, beautifying, if I can't say, raising up neighborhoods so that you've got those point people there who you can go to say, this is what we're doing. Listen, Nona is a great organization to do that. And I've already talked to Precious about how to continue working with those collaborations, all right, and supporting small businesses. If you can't look at someone's track record for what they've currently done, then what does a resume really even matter? I've got a resume of being passionate. I will never apologize. Yes, sometimes my face might get intense, but that's okay. I know black is beautiful, light all the way to the dark.
Whenever.
Okay. And therefore, I hope that I can challenge those who are running to run a clean election, to run a fair election moving forward, so that the community can rightfully decide. You're right. If I can agree with anything, this is important, because this election is critical, because in the last 4 years, I could go line item on to how this community, District 2, has missed out because the current council person sat in her corner.
Like a mouse.
Excuse me?
Like a mouse.
And however, listen, it was money. We had infrastructure dollars. Listen, like them or not, but if the money's green. If it can come to our community without compromise, and I'll tell you, I will not compromise. If the money can be allocated to our community without compromise, it's going to benefit our community. Why shouldn't it be that our sidewalks are walkable? Why should the traffic be moving 50 miles an hour in through our community when we've got 5 schools on the front footage of North 24th Street?
So
okay, why should
I'm going to interrupt you real quick, because what I'm going to do right now, because all of y'all will participate in a ritual on Stay Woke, but I'm going to start with Mike Lee. I'm going to give you everybody a few minutes. You can rebut anything that was said. You can fact check it at that time, and then give your closing, because at the end of this show, for those of you who have never watched it, y'all on here all polished, saying y'all stuff, looking good. I see you got the slick back, Miss Goodwin. I see the Argyle sweater. Mr. Lee, I see you done went from a dark background to a light background. Miss Weston, you always
Mr.
look
Lee's been knocking
inviting.
doors. He dresses very well. He's knocking doors. Leave him alone. He's knocking doors.
But this is the thing. So sometimes at the job, you know, you just want to say something. Sometimes, you know, because my mama, sometimes she in there, so I'm a whisper. Sometimes she get on my nerves, and I just. But you know, I'm from old school, so you can say stuff in your
We
head.
don't hear you.
Look, you can say stuff in your head. It bet not come out verbally. So at the end of this show, so I'm gonna give y'all a couple of minutes to start thinking about what you want, because we have a segment that's called "Talk Your Shit." So you get to say, you get to rant. You can rant any way you want to. What you sick and tired of. You get 2 minutes to do that. But before we do that, that's when we'll close. So I'm letting y'all. I see Anthony Wills is. Oh yeah, I already know what I want to say. So, Mr. Lee, this is your closing statement, and talk about something. If you want to rebut something, respond to something that was said, this is your time.
Yeah. Look, thank you for having me tonight. I think that we had some great conversations, right?
I agree.
Look, my name is Mike Lee. I'm running for Omaha City Council District 2 because I truly believe that North Omaha is at stake. I'm running to create affordable housing and protect renters. I'm running to invest and make intentional economic developments, right? And to do community empowerment and investments into our youth, right? And so these things aren't going to come easy, right? I think that it's going to take a lot of hard conversations like we've been having tonight, but also organizing our community, mobilizing our community, and having that community engagement like what Cheryl talked about. These pieces of organizing and politics work together to create the change that we want to see. And so for me, I understand that North Omaha is at stake, that we have millions of dollars that's getting flushed into our community. And we need a candidate who's going to be able to be tactful, strategic, but also willing to collaborate with people who don't normally work with them to get things done. And so I'm asking and I'm hoping to earn your vote on April 4th. Now, before we get out of here, I did want to make sure that we have some, or April 1st. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Boy,
I keep counting down these days to the election.
We're all very tired right now. I got to give Mike on this one, but we don't want to give the Republicans.
Exactly. They do not want to do that.
So many days. Look, couple of days. We got a couple of weeks. What, 2 weeks left? And so before we get out of here, I did want to make sure that we have some conversations, right? When we have these conversations in the public arena, as I like to call it, because now we're all public servants. We're all talking and advocating for our communities and our own rights. And we're doing that and also asking them to vote. And so I am imploring all of my fellow candidates to make sure that when we're having these conversations, that we do this from a sense of honesty and integrity, but we also do it from a place of understanding the community that we're hoping to represent. Our community, let's be honest, is ravaged by poverty. And I believe that poverty does breed a lot of violence that we're seeing in our community, right? But it's also been intentional by the powers that would be. And we have to be real about that to be able to fight and address the concerns of our communities. And so I do think that when we have these conversations, making sure that we're not disparaging anybody because of a legal record or because of something that they might have done in the past, that's up to other people and other communities to do. I think that they should do that. But when we get up there in front of our communities talking to each other, we should ask them to make the decisions. But we don't need to be down there punching people based off that, right? For instance, if somebody wants to ask me if I necessarily had a criminal record, mine was a sponge and or cleared. But when I was 16, was arrested down in West Omaha or at West Roads, and I was doing it for loitering on my birthday. Now, how could you loiter when you got $300 in your pocket and you're waiting for your friends to get there to go shopping? I don't know. But I'm saying that I also understand that my story, and just like so many other people in the community, right? I might have gotten off a little bit better, but other people didn't. But they're also seeking to try to make their lives better. And I want to make sure that we just aren't doing so that makes them feel like they're still being counted out. And so I'm glad that we're having these conversations. I'm glad that that we can come together and actually talk about the important things that matter to all of us, and we could do that in a way that is respectful and that the community can look up to, right? Because everything that I want us to do, and I might go on to my little soapbox, but when I talk about community organizing and doing this work, right, putting ourselves out here in this public arena for our community, I truly believe that we must do everything better because we have to, right? And that means presenting a campaign that the community can be proud of, doing it in a way that doesn't make them feel like they're being sold out, but also meeting people where they are, having the tough conversations, doing that in a way that doesn't skew the narrative. And so I'm just glad that we actually are able to have these conversations because these matter, especially in times like this when we're seeing so much of our democracy at stake and or in jeopardy itself.
Definitely. Thank
And so, people are wanting help. And we have to make sure that we're there. No matter if we win or lose, we have to make sure we show up for the next 4 years and the 4 years after that because people need us.
Thank you, Brother Lee. Definitely appreciate your words. They have a strong argument. Who would like to go next? I'm gonna let y'all, Mr. Wright.
Now I want to show deference to the matriarchs for sure, and let them finish it up. I just want to thank you for this. This is what it should have looked like. It's no shade on the amazing work that Jaden, Olivia, I'm forgetting the name of the other young sister. They did an amazing job. I think that this format has given us all more time to find out where we agree. And as Mike Lee, I think, just demonstrated, our disagreements are not that far away from each other. And he's absolutely right. So I'd say, whoever pulls this off, we are going to need you to be successful.
Yes.
If it's Mike, out for a beer and be like, this is what I would like to see. And I think that he would do the same. Miss Cheryl and I talk almost every single day, and I very much enjoyed getting to learn Vonnie Goodwin. I love that passion, and absolutely, we're not going to put up with me or misogynoir for very, very passionate and powerful Black women. So you asked for this to start off with something that we hate the most, the talking shit. And I'm just gonna tell you, I mean, for me, it's the Black Miss Leadership class whose strings are being pulled by alabaster puppet masters. That just gets to me. I can't take that when our own people are preying upon their own people, using our material conditions, and as Senator Ernie Chambers said, letting Susie Buffett turn North Omaha into her own personal plantation. That gets me, because when we're doing it to ourselves, that is generational violence right there, and I can't put up with that. But that to say, what I'm running on, I think Sherman, is Big Sherm, as I call him, has been putting some very, very salient points in the chat. We got a young brother, not youth, Mike. I'm gonna call you a young brother, and Mike Lee, who's running, and that's absolutely right. We all want to see our young people and our youth get more involved. I want 16-year-olds voting for municipal elections at some point. It's happening in places like Newark, New Jersey, and it's getting them more civically engaged. I should not be able to make a decision without real input from a 16-year-old. And can you imagine how much harder our work would be? Mike's tired, Michelle's tired, Bonnie's tired. We're all tired right now. If we had to go ask 16-year-olds for but that's what we're trying to do, is expand democracy. Speaking of expanded democracy, I'm into municipal accountability. Absolutely. I think that we need a true independent public safety auditor when cops do wrong, and a real community review board, one that is picked by us. We should be able to vote for that board, not ones that are handpicked by the mayor like pieces of capitulate cotton. Later for that, because that's not a citizens review board. That's Gene Stothard's
exactly personal review board.
Housing justice is something I'm running on. I think we need rent stabilizations and a maximum base rent immediately, and we can get that done. We have to vacate that 2015 consent decree that former City Council member Gray did approve. He maybe didn't sign it, but he approved. That consent decree is a noose around our neck, and Miss Cheryl knows it, Brother Mike knows it, Sister Vani knows it. The mayor uses it as an excuse every time we are trying to get justice for tenants. Oh, we can't do anything because of the consent decree. We can vacate it. There are measures in that consent decree that say we can vacate it. I believe people all around this city wants the city attorney to go to the federal judge and say enough is enough. So that's true housing justice. That's how we and then how we get low and moderate income housing. I'm sick of the debate on what affordable housing is. Low and moderate income housing.
Facts.
We need that TIF for tax increment finance is being abused. I've said it before that if TIF was a drug, city council would be addicts. The way that they just abuse that. And a TIF for tat program, if you're going to do business in Omaha, you're going to set aside some of those units for low and moderate income individuals and families, and you are going to use unionized workers for your construction, operation, and maintenance. Omaha is open for business, but Omaha is not for sale. Enough is enough with the abusive TIFs. We can use as a tool and for low and moderate income housing. Two last things that I'll say is that in addition to Ms. Cheryl, we are the only ones that are running on a climate and environmental justice platform as well. North Omaha has been treated like an energy and economic sacrifice zone for far too long. Our life expectancy is lower than people who are like 2 miles away because of that power plant, because of the lead, and because it's not getting cleaned up. We can turn this issue into a jobs creator. And instead of manufacturing missile launchers to send to Ukraine, let's manufacture wind turbine parts and solar panels right here that can create jobs that anybody can get trained at Metro. And as Ms. Vani pointed out to the brother who was the electrician at the debate, get him some real money. And last thing is this: absolutely, Vani is right. Inflation Reduction Act, Bonnie, what billions of dollars we missed out on because our current city council member didn't let us know about it. Bipartisan infrastructure framework, billions of dollars that we lost on that law. Don Bacon is fighting for energy tax credits more than our city councilwoman. That needs to stop. And the last thing I'll say is that I do believe in community organizing, but I believe the first job of a community organizer is to organize themselves out of business. People do not need strong leaders. We need more strong people, and that's what I hope to develop with your vote on April 1st. And voting has already started. As Mike knows, I'm not no shade on Mike because Mike has like something on his site with the vote for him thing. That was good. You got that out for me. Early voting has started. Go to the vote on April 1st.
Okay, thank you, brother. And Miss Weston, I'm going to let you decide.
No, I'm going to be last.
No, but Miss, let me finish, Miss Weston. Okay. I said I'm going to let you decide because I remember at the debate that I was in, you said, "Oh, I see they saved the best for last."
So and that's what we're going to do right now. That's
okay, what we're going to do. Go ahead, Miss Bonnie. Go ahead, Miss Goodwin.
We all know that's subjective, right? Although I do appreciate Miss Cheryl and her advocacy for the community. I wish she just had to let us know that she was running for council before she decided to interview all of us and actually disclose that. But nevertheless, listen, one, I want to make it clear, I believe in restorative justice. Okay. People make mistakes and they should be able to come back for that. But that is not what I was talking about. When you're an elected official, if I can't hold you to a higher standard, then what are we talking about here? Okay. So I want to be very clear. Yes, people make mistakes. Young people shouldn't be thrown away. And even people who might be older, there's a restorative justice platform. And I've been a part of a lot of those conversations and want to continue because, again, we need to know how do we get people productively back in society, once they've paid their dues. And I was glad to see that last year we restored the vote in Nebraska to prior felons because they deserve to participate fully in democracy. Again, once they've served their time. I also want to say that now's the time that we support our Black and brown developers. Okay. There are many emerging. They've got projects in District 2. And so there are tools. There's legislation that is needed to ensure that they're a part of the game. I left the conversation at AOS and actually talked to all of the hosts, because again, I thought they did a great job, but I said, you know what? A more informed community means now not only will there be better questions, okay? Because listen, I love debate, y'all. I think we all do, right? We love politics, and yet we also
Anthony
want to serve,
definitely does.
right? Um, but then also we can hold our elected officials to a higher standard. That's why we've got to raise up neighborhoods, okay? After all the drama's done, after April 1st is over, after May 13th is over, okay, then the real work begins. I'm going to ask the community, because we talk about how we need to hold the candidates accountable, but are you going to show up in your lane? Listen, District 2 needs everything all at once. Okay? We need grocery stores. We need housing of all types. We need safety and security. Okay? We need to address the challenges of our homeless population. Okay? We need more jobs. We need better connectivity in our transportation. We need equitable economic development. We should not have to leave District 2 to enjoy Omaha. Last year, Forbes named Omaha the #1 place to live in the nation. I'm telling you, I want to take the work I've done. I'm not going to be ashamed. Folks want to make me ashamed for what I've done. On North 24th Street, watch and see how this district's about to be transformed. And I'm going to say this, for us, by us. Okay? But it's simply a blueprint. Championing safety, beautifying neighborhoods, supporting small businesses. I've got the resume for it. I'm not just talking, I'm not just shooting people down on their platform. I'm out here doing the work. I'm out here making things happen, and I will continue to be a champion for you as your next District 2 City Councilwoman, April 1st, and then vote again May 13th. And I also want to say this as we talk about getting out the vote. If you are 17, but you will turn 18 before November 4th, guess what? You can vote in this election. We should be telling our kids, we should be telling our grandkids that they can still go out to the Douglas County Election Commission and register to vote. Because this other thing that I really want to challenge, Anthony, Miss Cheryl, Mr. Lee, and even Miss Wallace, we've got to get out the vote. We are second to the last as it pertains to voter turnout in these off-season elections. So we need to change that, right? Especially so we don't have some rando candidate slipping through the cracks.
Right.
And then we end up with what we had for the last 4 years, which is a lot of stagnation, a lot of frustration, as many of us have had to find new pathways around to do meaningful work. Y'all gonna see me out here because that's what I do. But I'm trying to level up, y'all, because I mean business, and I've shown you I mean business. Vote for me April 1st and May 13th for your next city council person, Omaha City Council District 2. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Avani, like I said earlier, I voted early. I got the vote before because I turned a certain age before. So I didn't know if that was, thank you for reiterating that is still, that young people can still do that. My kids, they vote in every election. If they don't, midterm, and people don't understand midterms. That is mostly has to do with your state. They don't understand smaller elections that have to do with some of them local city government. Just going for the big ball. Nobody just gets to the Super Bowl without playing 17 games to get to the Super Bowl. You got to play the game now. You got to get in there. You have to vote. You have to vote. We have to vote as a people. And I want to shout out Sherman. I seen him in here. Sherman Wells has been advocating for years. Sherman Wells was responsible for the debate, got that together with the young people, helped facilitate that. Awesome job. The young people did an awesome job. I would not have met any of y'all if Mike Lee wouldn't have sent me the invitation to come to the debate. And I'm very pleased, as I've said strongly, I spoke strongly about every one of y'all this week since Anthony been on almost all the live feeds. I've spoken strongly about every one of you. And it is very important. Parents, do not let your kids just sit around and not vote. Encourage them to vote. I mean, just look at what we got now in the White House. That's enough to make people in Pampers trying to run to the vote machine and say, "Can I vote, Mama? Can I vote? I know I'm only 2, but can I vote?" So we have to. If we don't vote, please don't complain.
Hey,
see, I can talk shit because I vote every damn election. I can talk shit and say, yeah. But I vote every election. I offer rides. I drop off people ballots. I do all of that. So, in closing this show, as Miss Cheryl said, Miss Bonnie said, it's up for room for interpretation. But we have on this podcast, Stay Woke Today, on March 19th, 2025, Miss Cheryl Weston is going to be the last person to speak on this channel. Go ahead if you have any rebuttals, and then make sure you talk your shit. Let us know what you want to talk your shit about.
Thank you. You know, as I said, when I met you at the AOS, our Assemblies of Saints, I checked out what your show, and I saw your mom was very worried about being seen, but she didn't today. Tell her I saw the back of you. Okay.
Like she texted me, "Is you still on? Can I come out?" I didn't even.
But I just want to say, first, I want to say, to get this right, evidently, Miss Goodwin did not listen to what I said as to why I got into this race. And when I offered each candidate, no matter what position they were running for, I didn't just offer to District 2 to be on my show. I said at that time a disclaimer. I wasn't supporting anyone. I just wanted to give the people an opportunity to be able to hear from the candidates. Mm-hmm. And what caused me to run, let me repeat, was that debate at the venue or the Highlander. So if I would have known I was going to run and I decided I wanted to let it known, I would have. But let me break it on down some more, because Miss Wallace said this is the time that I can take and put that other one over there in the sugar bowl and let it come out. Okay.
Come on, come with it.
Let's bring it out. First, I want to say again, this is very important. Monday started early voting. District 2, yes, has the lowest voting percentage no matter what race it is. The only time that we had a high percentage was the first term for Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. The second term, we didn't come out like we did the first term. Mm-hmm. That's the only time. We have to get away from that, because this next 4 years is detrimental to the development of North Omaha. And to say that all this money's going to come in, no, unless there's a change in administration, all this money is not coming in, not only to North Omaha, it's going to come into red states, but it's going to stop at a point, and it ain't coming north unless we, the people, make it happen. And that's where you got to come in to make it be where the next city council person is going to be me. But I'm also committed to a better future for our city. I'm not interested in special groups or individuals. I'm fighting for the community with a focus on community engagement, transparency, progressive policies, aiming to represent the voice of every citizen. Because I want to have an open door policy. Not only can my constituents, but anybody, because you know what? We can get ideals and things from all sources that maybe when they give us that, they don't even know they're helping us. But you got to be able to listen, advocate for positive change, build a more stronger and inclusive city for everybody. And some of the issues that are really prevalent in Omaha, and we're not talking about, it's not just North Omaha. It's mental health, homelessness, affordable housing. And as Ms. Goodwin said, yes, Omaha was rated number 1 on Forbes, but it should have had a tag on it and said it's the number 1 place for some folks, not all folks, because that's what it is. And if you want to talk about the homelessness, check the facts. Omaha is in the top 5 for homelessness. And that's a shame that you can say Forbes says it's the best place to live and your homelessness has increased that much. So we need to have something to address. And we talk a lot about affordable housing. Yes, I'm on the Spark board and we have done some amazing things and we're going to be doing more to help developers. And one of the things that I have stressed since being on that board is I'm concerned about North Omaha because you see that Omaha Land Bank, if you were attending the meetings, you would know that 85% of the properties that the Omaha Land Bank has control of, they're in North Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
You would know that there are 300 properties that the city of Omaha had, and they are going to be selling those, and they're in North Omaha. You would know that right now, and it's due by June 14th, the lot down there on 24th, 26th, and Lake Street, that's up for sale by the city of Omaha. We need to have these things, and I'm going to put that RFP out on my website, Conversations for Cheryl Weston. You see, that's what we don't have at City Hall is we don't have somebody educating us on. As Mr. Rogers would say, I go to that city, but I also get that agenda and I make a study of it. And I want to have community read the city council agenda so we can be prepared what we need to go forth on, because we've got to get more engagement in, and we've got to be able to get this togetherness, not all this bickering and, as some people like to say, rhetoric about. No, we have to have something, a policy. I'm not going to give you and say I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that on day one. What I am going to do on day one is be prepared. We'll be ready. I will know because I know what the responsibilities and the duties of the city council member is. And that I can handle. I can do it. But I also know I need the support of the people. I need the support of those people who are putting questions and comments in your chat. I need the support of you, like, because see, I can tell you're passionate about it and you're going to be there. And you're not going to go and not know what you're talking about. I love that. I like when people are prepared and have it. So that's what I'm about. And I think I appreciate this. I really do. I was pleased. I had another event and the weather came. So I just said, oh, Lord,
there you go. That's what I said.
I'm on the right road, the right track, because I am going to win. And when I win, I'm not winning by Cheryl Weston. I'm winning by the community who get out and vote. Make sure that you get out and vote. You can go to early voting right now at the Douglas County Election Center, which is at 120th and Center at the Bel Air Plaza. If you got your early ballot, you requested that, make sure you get it filled out and sent back in or dropped off. Do that. And I want to shout out to the felons. Listen, I was knocking on a door the other day and he said, oh, I can't vote because I'm a felon. I said, no, yes, you can. We need to educate. We need to get it out. Everybody who has social media, you should be putting out there, felons, if you meet the criteria, the rules, you're off paper and so forth, you have until Friday to register. Register, and then you can vote. You can do it all right there that time. And I think I want to help say to the young people, because the comment was made, we're not our ancestors. And I agree, you're not our ancestors. But you don't vote for someone just because they're younger. There was a comment made to pass the baton. Anybody who knows, when you have a baton, you're in racing. You have to have an open hand to catch that baton. You have to be prepared, because when that person puts that baton in your hand is supposed to be there at a right moment. And you've worked on that. You've practiced and you study and you know how many races were lost because the passing of the baton. So I'm saying to young people, Don't discount your ancestors because your ancestors made it possible for you to get. Don't discount passing that baton. Be ready. Have your hand open because you can't put a baton in a closed fist,
Ooh.
meaning a closed mind. You can't do that. So I'm saying to young people, I think it's great. And I am wanting to see more. But you got to get in there. And as Miss Goodwin has said, do the work. You've got to get in there, be prepared. Because you see, if you don't be prepared to be able to know how to navigate around that lion will eat you up day one. And that's what you're going into, as they say, the lion's den.
Yes, ma'am.
Work on it. So I am saying to everyone, it's most important. Yes, I want your vote, but if anything else, get out and vote because you're not voting just for the individual. You're voting for your community. You're voting for someone who's going to have something to say about your streets, your parks. And right now, we need to have somebody in there. We talk about public safety. We need to have someone from the top all the way down. So I'm going to leave it with that. Again, I thank you so very much. You know, now I'm a fan. You got me. You got me. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to having more of these conversations. We need to work together. Hey, we'll open up and we'll have a joint one.
I
and
know that's
it's not
right.
about voting. It's about letting the people, because that way we all become better.
Did Cheryl just say we would have a joint?
A joint. Oh, this girlfriend, she's on my level. We're gonna have a joint. And when you get on,
I thought that's what I heard. No.
Oh, man.
Well, if that, wait a minute, Miss Cheryl, 34 felons can't count you out. A joint, damn sure. That joint ain't nothing. Look.
So that's my closing round. And you know, I'm through. Again, I just want to say thank you so very much. This gave an opportunity. And people just vote. I always like to say, vote as if your life depends on it, because your life does depend on it. And if the vote wasn't so important, they wouldn't put so many barriers out there to keep us from voting.
Exactly. But we need to work together to get out the vote. And that's the thing. We really, really do. And I think that's something we all can do. Really, you know, I know we're all running for our own campaigns right now, but in our own circles and spaces, Precious, I'm going to say it, you know, partnering with you, Black Votes Matters, we've got to get out the vote, and we've got to show why the vote matters, again, especially on the local level. Let's do it, y'all.
Yep. That's a commitment I think that we can all, that's something I think we can all commit to. Just like Miss Weston just said, like put out there. And I think Miss Goodwin just said, and Miss Weston said, put something, everybody can do this. All candidates can put something out there as far as the age. If you're 17, the information Miss Goodwin gave, the information Miss Weston just said, in reference to we all should be pushing out, get out the vote. That's something we all should be, regardless of who wins, we all should be pushing that, get out the vote.
Miss Wallace, if I can also ask you this, I would love it after April 1st. Please plan to have another one of these. I really enjoyed it. I was cracking up when I saw your message. You know, you snowed in, so you it's like, okay.
You know, you snowed in. You ain't got. Look, I told her, wait a minute. Let me tell y'all what Miss Bonnie did. Well, who's comprising the questions?
I had questions.
I said, girl, I don't tell nobody. The only person I had to tell, I interviewed Yolanda Ross from The Shine. And so I kept saying, I said, well, I like to keep it authentic. I like to keep it authentic. The responses authentic. Everybody on here could see that every response was authentic. Y'all didn't have the questions beforehand. And they was like, oh, well, she won't be interviewed. I was like, oh, okay, here go the question.
and even though some of us could, nobody was getting text messages on their cell phones for the answers either.
Exactly. Y'all came with your own shit, and y'all responded great. Again, I want to applaud you guys, and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on. I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity. Like I said, I had 2 pages of questions. It may be 2 questions on here that didn't get answers. It was about the Metro bus. I liked all of y'all responses there to see how y'all can break the barrier or the fact that they're saying, oh, that doesn't have anything to do with city council. Just like you said, Anthony, they can vacate the consent decree. You can also implement things that, just like you said too at the debate, the other cities, city councils have that where you can intermingle with the different departments and get stuff done. So I learned a lot from all of y'all. So I want to thank you guys. You guys were very professional, passionate. Everybody was passionate. I got my own nickname for everybody. Mike Lee, Mike Lee,
No.
Mike Lee, Mike Lee, you the little Martin Luther King Jr. You the little Martin because you say when you get ready to say it, oh yeah, your delivery is giving me Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson. So that's what I give you, Mike Lee. Anthony, you know you the shade tree.
Look at the tree behind him. It's
And the
perfect.
fact checker. Look, you are the shade tree and the fact checker. Miss Vonnie, you know nonsense.
Thank
You
you.
you know nonsense. You like this is what it is. I'm standing in my own stuff, and I love that about you.
Thank you.
Regardless, and you own it. Regardless of what people say, you own that. And when people own stuff, I just feel like you just exude confidence when you own stuff. Miss Weston, I call you the nurturer. I could just went up to you and hugged you because you are a nurturer. I can feel it. And then hug you because of your commitment to the community, the process, and every single thing. I did my research on all of y'all. I think Ms. Weston did her research on me. I did my research on all of y'all. And before I did my research, I was impressed with all of y'all. So I already made my decision up. So I said, well, let me get this together. I didn't want y'all to come on here thinking like, oh, this is just something. No, honey, I am passionate about politics.
Yeah.
And can't nobody tell you different. I've been rolling since I was 17 years old. And so, Miss Wesson, you just have an aura about yourself that I feel like I'm gonna be safe. I feel
Well,
like I'm
thank
gonna be
you.
safe.
Thank you.
Feel like I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
be safe. And Anthony, I just gotta say, because I mentioned you with that. Boy, I said that Anthony, I said, honey, Anthony will fact check the encyclopedia. Uh he will fact check the encyclopedia, baby. And I'm glad you know your stuff. And I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you this: you are a little radical, Anthony, but you still know your shit though. You still know what you're talking about, your delivery, the way you articulate. I'm very impressed in all of that. I'm very impressed with all that. But man, you gonna talk off the set. We gonna talk. You gonna have to stop them Facebook battles. It ain't worth it.
I
You trying
told
to
you,
move
me and Pete met at the bar and we worked it out.
yeah.
That's how me and Pete work. It's
Okay,
so
okay.
good.
So yeah, because I want to see you. I want to see you in the future. I want to see you doing this, not just for this, not in this entity.
Mhm.
Miss Goodwin, you've been doing this. You got you said you leveling up. You've been doing this, and you've been doing a great job.
Thank
And
you.
we can't account for every dime. Nobody. I get paid every 2 weeks. I still can't account for my damn paycheck. I was like, what did I? Well, wait a minute. What did I do with? Okay, so I did this. So yeah, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. Still listen to people. I'm glad that you guys are listening to people. Mike Lee, I want to listen to you when you talk. When you talk, I want to listen to you. You gave that to me every time you spoke, even at the debate when you didn't respond to certain things. But when you talk, I listened to everything you said. So each one of y'all have qualities. Each one of you have characteristics to hold this job. So the audience, I'm letting y'all know, y'all had 2 hours of nothing but passion, commitment, and community connection. So these 4 candidates, these are the top 4 candidates in my vote. Make sure you vote for one of these candidates. And I believe that these candidates after this election, I believe that they can all sit down together and
Mhm.
come and talk. And I wish that we can get something on record that whoever wins, because it's going to be one of y'all. It's one of y'all. One of y'all is the winner. So we declaring it right now on March the 19th. So I want you guys I would love to see y'all get together and commit, just to even be open to discussion and work with one another. That's all I wanted for this. This wasn't to sandbag anybody, to try to drag anybody. This was to let the people know. Because
Mhm.
everybody couldn't make it there. It was standing room only. Everybody couldn't make it there. And me and Sherman, we both have some of the same audience and different audience. So I just wanted everybody to meet y'all because you guys impressed me. I'm not easily impressed. I don't pass out compliments. And everybody on here knows me. Everybody on here know I don't pass out compliments. Never would I ever. I'm not
Miss
doing it. As my
Miss
grandmother,
Wallace,
huh?
can I say one little thing at
Yes,
the
ma'am.
end? Because I see you about to cut us out. I liked what one of the people in the comments said, and you just doubled up on it too. I feel that no matter who wins, at least we will be able to come and at least have conversations, whether it's a coffee shop or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I agree with you and I'm hoping that the other three do too, is it's not about winning just so about winning that position. It's
Mm-hmm.
about winning, and we win for the community and then we win for each other. So if we can help each other, because we all have strengths in different areas, but
Mm-hmm.
if we bring those together, can you imagine what kind of
Ooh,
power we will be able
baby.
to take down when we're talking to city council? If they see all of us coming and we come together, they'll be like, oh
Exactly.
my God, what's going on
Exactly.
now? We don't know how to handle these folks
Exactly.
because we have put aside our own little person and we've all come together. If that city council or anybody downtown would see all four of us coming lockstep together, they know we ready and they gonna have to answer. And I end this with saying, Mike, you only said intentional twice.
Wait a minute, Miss Weston. Why do I got it written down right here? I said I'm gonna say intentional. Look, and I didn't even say it. I didn't even say it.
Twice.
But
That's all. Good job, man.
Hey,
again, I want to thank you guys. I hope my audience seemed to enjoy you. It looks like it's 159 comments already. So you guys
Half of them are mine. No.
So you guys make sure you go in because some of them are directly towards the candidate. Is always the people always feel good when you personally comment, respond to them. I just want to say that I must shout out my girl Precious McKesson.
Hey,
I have
Precious.
to. I have to shout out Precious. Precious, I don't know if Precious is still on here. She was 15
Yes.
minutes ago.
Yes.
But Precious, I mean, she let me be a part of every single thing that happened statewide throughout the election. I mean, I had a seat at the table to everything because of her. And I just wanted to thank her. And Precious, we've taken you out to memoirs. You still got to give me a date so we can just chop it up and relax.
Love
She,
memoirs, by the way.
oh,
Just
yes, give me an
saying.
Atlanta vibe. But she worked her ass off. And when people say Nebraska didn't show up, baby, Nebraska showed up.
Yep.
Nebraska showed up and showed out. So, Precious, I don't ever want you or anybody else that was involved in that push in the Democratic Party. We showed up, baby. We came out in numbers. Yes, our numbers, everybody numbers could have been bigger. Everybody numbers could have been bigger. But Nebraska, being the red state that it is, showed up and showed out. And Precious, we commend you for all your efforts and
That's
keep
right.
doing what you're doing and don't ever start fighting because we know that you have our best interests at heart. So y'all already know. I'm sorry, it's too many people in here. I can't shout y'all. Okay, let me do a quick shout out. Girl, baby, because talk about this. You shout us out today. Okay, Precious McKenzie. I want to shout out Tall Twin Silence. Tall Twin Silence, man, her was going back and forth. We had some not arguing or nothing, just had some dialogue, disagreements on Facebook. I said, well, come to the thing. I said, come on here. I'm going to be inviting the candidates. So she has been very engaging. She have put in some great questions. That's why I was putting the questions up. It didn't have anything to do with who was talking. I was just putting the questions. It's 150 some questions in here, comments in here. So I was just putting the questions up. Let me see, where did Anthony go? Okay. I don't see him. Okay, so he must have turned his camera off. But anyway, I just want to thank all of those who stayed on because the show is usually an hour. We've been on for 2 hours and 33 minutes, and there's still people on here. It's still people on here. So I want to thank y'all who came in. Thank you guys for, oh, look at that different angle. Anthony, you ain't going to be no new camera person out here. You got different angles.
No, it's time for dinner. The food's getting cold. I'm just saying,
Wait a minute.
we got to get to a conclusion before Jesus comes back and we don't get to the election. That's all.
Okay, here we go. Vote on April the 1st. Vote on April the 1st, and then what is it, the 13th?
May 13th.
May 13th. April 1st, May 13th. Parents, get your kids out here to vote. Get them out here to vote. Local voting is that's something that we can claim of our own, is the local election. That's something, right. It's not the electoral ballots, which is, I'm not even going to talk about it, but this is a vote for a vote is a vote. Yeah. So that's what we want to do. Get out there and vote. Everybody, y'all already know where you have been tuned in to the hottest podcast in the Midwest, the only podcast that shouts you out in real time and answers your questions in real time. Y'all already know what time it is. Before you go to sleep, you got to do what? Stay woke, baby. Stay woke.